get saved, baby, I am not the answer. No. I'm a man with a gift and I'm doing my shit like. Trying to get saved, baby, I am not the answer. No. I'm a man with a gift and I'm doing my shit like. And I'm doing my shit like.
Hey, y'all. Krish is coming. We just got real fast and got there real fast, but she's coming, and we're going to have a real exciting live. Our thumbnail has many, many things on there, and I'm thinking that we're really going to bust it out tonight. And so we're going to understand the spiritual side of his unique beliefs. And the trial is coming up, and it's coming up fast. And so we're going to start trying to really hone in on all these different parts. And we've talked about how there's certain different things that we need to get done and talk about before the trial comes. And in order to get that done, we may have to double down on some of the things we've got, because we want to go through these things with y'all, the people who have been with Krisha this whole time. So we want to go with y'all, go through all these things about Arizona and all these things about Idaho and how they blend together. And even though it's two different states, things can go different. And even the same crimes in two different states can be taken up just because of the laws about, like, for instance, with Ruby, Frankie, and Jody, they're in Utah. And so we didn't have mugshots of them until they actually were found guilty. But we've got mugshots of these other people for the different things, like in Arizona and also in Idaho. And so different states have different, rights on how they treat even people who are juveniles. Some people treat them as adults, and they have different reasoning. So sometimes we'll think, well, why did they do this, that, and the other? Well, sometimes it's just the laws in different states handle things differently. And each state has the rights to handle these things differently according to how the people that vote for them in that state. Now you've had a civics lesson and a American history lesson along with it, but it really does affect the things because you think, how can they? This should be breaking the law, and so we're really going to see. And I hope whenever Chad's trial comes up and it's like, which one's first? Who's on first? That's how I felt this week when we were getting ready for those 2 hearings. I was like, all getting ready, and I had my Idaho things up, and then I realized, oh heck, we're in Arizona today. So I had to get rid of that stuff, trying to figure Arizona. And then I was so relieved the next day because it was like, oh shoot, to get to Arizona stuff by now for us. And anyway, as Krisha has said times before, we are in our little group, we are not trained journalists, we're not trained YouTubers, we're not trained selling anything, really. And so a lot of times, a lot of the YouTube channels, they have ads and they have sponsors and things. We would love a sponsor, but we don't know really how to ask for those things. So if you know somebody that would like to sponsor this sort of programming and content, tell them, hey. And also technical things. We're all doing the things that we know how to do, but we could all learn to do some new things. So if you have some suggestions for us, then send that on over too. And this Nightbot thing, that's whole new. How did that guy get in?
I did it. I did. I was like,
Yay!
I remember telling you thank you one night, and I was like, wait, when I did it again last night, I was like, I think I'm the one that did it the first time on accident. It was, oh my God, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm hot. I'm hot up in here. So
Right.
I'm so excited. I'm excited. See, I'm stuttering. So, and my hair's being crazy. Hey, Cindy Bullock. How y'all doing? Hey, S.L. Conley. It's good to see you. Thank you, Donna. You are the bomb. I did this Nightbot though. Hopefully. And so I just did a couple commands. So we'll just see how it goes. Sorry. I hope it don't go crazy because that would suck. But anyways, I just want to fix my hair. I look like a lion. Rawr, right? Okay, let me turn my camera off so I can fix my hair. It looks crazy. And I'm hot, so it's sticking. All right. I shut the door in here, and so it cuts off all the air flow in here. And so, yeah, welcome to a woman in her mid 40s, probably going through the change a little early. And gained another person in weight. So that's always cool. Not. But anyways, I got so excited. Not I mean, this sounds crazy, or you know what I mean. It sounds, when I say I'm excited about finding what fits the person, what all the things that we have seen from Chad and Lori, Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Audrey Baratero, all the people, all the way up to Tim Ballard and his sizzle friends, okay? And then you have Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie, you got David Hamlin, David Levitt. I know I'm forgetting a bazillion people, right? But I mean, it fits. I'm like, "Oh my God." I don't know what clicked for me last night, but it did. And you know what? Here we are, like, weeks away from Chad's trial. I've only been looking for, like, since July 13th, 2019. That's how long I've been looking. I didn't set out on that path immediately because I didn't really know any better. But anyways, here we are. It was not too long after that when I was like, wait, where did their beliefs differ than the mainstream? And then here I am, later and later, right up to the time of Chad Daybell's trial. And here I am, and it's yeah, it's so I want to go over it with you guys, and I want y'all to tell me, let me know, not tell me, you got to tell me, but let me know what you think and who you can kind of see it matching up with whom, the roles and all the things. Please, I need feedback. Please give me feedback. That too, CD, that too. Yeah, he's right in there with them. So all of them, the whole
So,
lot of them.
Grisha,
Mhm.
do you want me to back out or do you want me to stay up in
It's
here
up to
with
you,
you?
boo. It's just, you know how I'm just
Well,
ripping you
I'm
down.
going to back out, but if I get to wanting to talk about it with you, I'm going to flip up in
Let
here.
me know. Yes, because I mean, just bouncing off of you, you know, because they
Okay.
don't talk. I don't
All
hear
right.
their voices, so you gotta be their voice.
Okay. All
You're
right.
the
So I'm
designated
going to, all
voice.
right. I'm going to back up and listen a minute and I'm going to come back in a minute.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. I'm trying to cool down. Trying to be cool. I think okay. It sucks to have to look at yourself first off, okay? And especially when you don't want to. You're like, "Yeah, I'm good." Okay. So, okay. Let me relax my brain because that's what happens. I get frazzled and then I mess everything up. So, what we are going to do is basically, I guess what we'll do is go over and I mean, this is through application, but I kind of think it is the same. Okay. So just know that I don't know why I sought out to research, follow the cases of David Hamblin. Besides that, that headline that was like, there's a child ritualistic sexual or child sex ritualistic cannibalistic. I was like, what the hell? Okay. You don't see them kind of headlines whenever your nephew and your cousin were just unearthed from Chad Daybell's property. Tylee was dismembered. I was like, no, that's too close. That's where they're from, or that's where Chad's from. No, this is not normal. First off, this is not normal. And it's just not normal. So, and I mean, the Hamlin case is a lot of people have labeled it which bothers me. A lot of people label Hamlin I have to say the alleged Hamlin victims, kinda. So I'm just saying just to blanket it, just to be safe. But the alleged Hamlin victims, David Hamlin was a Mormon therapist. He would administer, still does, I think, allegedly, peyote in his Native American religious ceremonies. He's not Native American though. Okay. They found a loophole. James Mooney found a loophole. And y'all, oh my God, I think I'm gonna sit here and like stutter. Obviously, I was doing some word salad in circular motion. So sorry. Okay. I think that I already forgot now. Damn. um, I think that I don't know. Let me just start back. The Hamlin case. And how people dub it as a conspiracy theory. What is that? That's like saying that they're a conspiracy theory because there was religious overtones, I'll say, as in the crime. It's part of it's elements in the crime, right? And okay. Anyways, it's just to me, it is very discrediting. It is not supportive of an alleged victim or a victim or anybody. I mean, I just kind of want to treat people the way that I want to be treated. I want to be believed. If I were to come out with anything of any sort, I would want to be believed because I think that that's integrity and it's just all about being a woman or a person of your word. Um, you know. So that's kind of what and I mean, I'm gonna use this for example. You have Colby, who has made allegations about sexual abuse from his now deceased stepfather, who is also a victim in this. And so I'm torn because I can't corroborate Colby's, although I look at the evidence and I'm like, okay, I can see where that looks like Lori had her hand in that. But then that's, Colby's real, as of right now, that's his story, and I don't want to discredit him. Joe's not here. I don't want to go and full-fledged just believe everything about that. And I don't want to full-fledged believe everything about that. I just stay neutral. Okay. It's just a neutral spot. And so I don't feel different, either way, I'm neutral. Anyways, it's tricky. Because you want to be mindful of everybody's feelings and things like that. But I wasn't there, and nobody was there besides them. So that's there's three sides to every story. There's his, hers, and the truth, so to speak. So anyways, I was looking over the Hamlin case when this came out in 2000, I think it was 21. The kids had, geez, again, that whole time period was so blurry to me. So I really, and plus the hurricane, it was just a horrible year. 2020, the trauma tour, 2020, that's what I call it. Anyways, so, all right, let me just jump into it because that way I'll stop stutter stepping. So just hold on just 1 second, visit amongst one another. Let me know if the Nightbot is a little too much. I'll have it changed for the next time. Okay, think, Crusha. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go over the alleged, what do you call it? The alleged perpetrators in the Hamlin case, which again is dubbed basically by a lot of people as a conspiracy, QAnon, whatever. I don't even know what the hell that is. I never investigated Pizzagate. I never did it. I was too busy investigating, my family's murders. I think that's about the same time that all that stuff happened. I think I didn't know up from down. Okay. So, all right. I know what I got to do. Finally, huh? Go. All right, let me open this. Right before I went live, of course, it froze. So I had to Control Alt Delete. It did not open all my tabs back. So I do try. It just, it happens. Life happens a lot. Okay, so this is from GoL, which is Investigations in Ritual Abuse. Okay, this is the guy. I'll read it, and that way it'll tell its own story. Okay. 21st. Today's the 25th. Let me just click something. Okay. So this was the 21st of February, 2024. And Victory, Investigations in Ritual Abuse on Substack, GoL, says, Victory, the devil loses. HB 196 prevails 10-1 in the Judiciary Committee. All right. Every now and then, on this side of everything, I'm not one of these victims. I'm just saying we all hold a piece of this, so to speak, of life, of this world, of our world. And, we're all, I know I'm pushing in that direction. I'm advocating in that direction for victims to be believed, for satanic ritual abuse to not be stigmatized, not be politicized, not be anything but what it is. I'd like for these cases from back when they dubbed it satanic panic, it works. It's a tactic, and it still works to this day. Tim Ballard, in my opinion, is a good example of this reasoning. Okay. It's just gaslight, deny, project, never own up to anything. And you end up having, in my opinion, a wake of victims and pissed off people in your wake. And then you know, what Tim, what Lori, what Ruby, what Jody, what all those people, David Hamlin, David Levitt, in my opinion, they all think that what they are doing is done in righteousness. And this is a problem. Okay. But I think you're going to see soon. But anyways, let me finish reading this. It says the House Judiciary Committee voted 10-1 for HB 196. And we are on the Senate. All right. You know, small victories. Hey, it would be nice for these cases to make it to the court to even go anywhere. But, you know, they hang back in the 80s for like 30 years and never get prosecuted because people evade, in my opinion. Thanks to everyone who has supported these efforts, and thanks to the victims like Brett Bluth, who went to speak at the hearing, and advocates like Cindy Metcalf, who spoke as well. The committee members overwhelmingly stated that they believed the victims on ritual abuse allegations. This is good. This is good. So relax a little, you know, I hope that Goel just keeps the wind in his sails and just keeps on trucking, because he's doing a great job investigating and researching his case, corroborating evidence. He has not found one time where the Hamlin sisters have lied. Anyways, we'll get to that. I keep jumping ahead of myself. The committee members overwhelmingly stated that they believe the victims on ritual abuse allegations. That means they count, you know, to me. It makes their deaths more valid because that's what it is. I'm not going to read that again. Okay. The committee members overwhelmingly stated that I already said that. Lieutenant Jason Randall and Sheriff Mike Smith spoke as well, and they were effective, which is good. Katie Stahl I guess it's a podcast, maybe, Right on Crime spoke, and the victims nailed their testimony, which is great. I hope that they keep up the good fight and don't give up. They seem to be some resilient people. And I just hope that if they ever happen upon here or whatever, and I try. I don't know what it's like to be in that situation. I can't even imagine. But I just hope that they feel support and love from myself and our community here, because I want to do right by Tylee and JJ and Charles and Tammy and Joe, as well as other victims who are here and who are not here. Think of all the victims that are not here or can't speak because, you know, it's tragedy. It's tragic. It says, we are on our way in the game of increments to significant legislative reform. Committee members apologize to victims. Isn't that great? You know, committee members apologize to victims for failing to advance legislation in years past as well. Okay. So the encouraging signs are there. Okay. Only one committee member. And I need to know, anybody who has watched John Dehlin Mormon Stories podcast, remember whenever Tim Ballard was publicly excommunicated? Allegedly, y'all, according to Goel. And I want a little bit of Lynn Packer there. Not directly, but, you know, kind of, if you watch the two of them report on the events that happened around Tim Ballard's public kneecapping or whatever through Vice, you can kind of read between the lines. So I'm not saying that they said, I'm just saying this is what I gained from it. This is what I reading the tea leaves. Okay. And basically it was what do you call that? Two witnesses or whatever or two sources that said that Gordon Bowen is actually the one who wrote the public article or whatever, the public statement for Vice News, sent it from, what do you call it? A confirmed or official church email. But Gordon Bowen is the one that would have written that allegedly to denounce Tim Ballard publicly. And so it's interesting. I was just like, oh my God, please don't tell all the people, because, oh my God, they'll be like, oh, it's a conspiracy. You know, it was a public hit piece. You know how they go. And I mean, it's not that. It's just like, I don't care anything about none of that. It's the fact that why would Gordon Bowen, who was basically known as M. Russell Ballard, who was also close to Tim. Okay. I think they're related, but hey, it'll come out in the wash one day, hopefully. But I find it interesting that Gordon Bowen was dubbed basically as M. Russell Ballard's prodigal son. Okay. That's like quote unquote. Okay. That's weird. There's a lot of history there. Okay. So it would just be interesting to actually have transparency and be able to see how these all connect, because they do. I mean, they do. They do, just right here out here with the Gentiles, with us Gentiles. So imagine what we don't know if things weren't put on private and things like that. So all right. And let's see. We are on our way. Okay. Only one committee. Oh, so the whole point of that was to ask Brian King, wasn't I remember Brian King being mentioned, and I want to say that was Tim Ballard's bishop. And so I was wanting to ask y'all that, anybody who knows. But anyways, only one committee member, Representative Brian, a Republican. I don't know if that's Rep or anyways, Brian S. King voted no. He wants more data, and we are going to give him more data. Today was a huge victory for ritual abuse survivors, and thank Heavenly Father for that. So good job. It's just the little battles, right? Okay. All right. Now let me get back to there. He kind of dropped quite a few in a row. And yeah, today the House Judiciary Committee will be having a hearing. This is before on Representative Ken Ivory's HB 196, which will enable victims of sex crimes to bring a civil suit a year after the day on which a final disposition for the criminal proceeding is issued, as opposed to the 4 years after a victim turns 18. So, right? It's an effort to give victims another chance to bring civil suits to achieve some redress for their injuries. Tune in, watch the testimony and the hearing, and support the reform. I haven't seen any of that, so let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's like 3 that say the same. One more. Where did it go? Everything closed. All my windows closed, so that pisses me off. Hold on. I'm rushing myself is what I'm doing. A reminder, anti-item. Okay. Okay. Let me go to my history. Sorry, guys. One day I'll have it together. I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever have it together. How about that? Let me just be honest, huh? Okay. But it's worth it, I'm telling you. I think so. All right, here's all my windows. Jeez, I had some windows open on my other computer. Okay, there's that one. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so basically what this is a draft of Utah legislative report on ritual abuse, criminal enhancements. Insights into the writing process for readers of IRA, which is Investigations in Ritual Abuse, which is something I subscribe to. I support Goel's work and his mission in this. So I encourage you to do the same. I'll grab a link. And whenever I go back over there, I'll paste it. Okay. All right. It says, due to the reservations expressed by Representative King during the House Judiciary Committee hearing on Representative Ken Ivory's proposed ritual abuse criminal enhancements, IRA is drafting a report for the legislature's consideration. That report is in its early draft phase, so readers can access it here and offer their thoughts. You can also access Representative Ivory's summary of ritual abuse here. I would urge all readers to contact their representatives and senators. So if anybody wants to help, this is how you can if you live in Utah, and that's, as far as that. But I mean, you can do it in your state. I can do it in my state. We can do it in our states. So, okay, the report isn't okay. You can also access representative. Okay, I would urge all readers to contact their representatives and senators in the Utah Senate and tell them you support passing HB 0196 into law immediately. We won the committee vote 10-1, which was extraordinary, but we still have work to do in order to ensure the bill becomes a law, right? And then you got to get people to adhere to the law or to break it, it's a process, and it seems like an uphill battle all different directions, Okay, so let me open the draft. We're going to open the draft. And then it got stuck. Hold on. It gets every time I open up my this window, it gets stuck on bookmarks, probably because I have too many of them. I'm sure. Okay, now let me open up Utah Cindy. She has a Substack as well. She did a pretty good summary or explanation or description, I guess you could say, of the Church of Satan, the LDS Church of Satan. Okay. Before the Church of Satan comes and, they will snap at you real quick on Twitter. It's crazy. Okay, let's see. All these windows. They all look the damn same. Okay, up there. All right. Okay, structure. There it is. All right, dang. All right, so I'll go ahead and share my window. That way y'all can see. And if y'all want to, you can take screenshots or whatever. Or whatever. However you got to do it. Whatever you want to do. Okay, share screen. Okay. And so this is actually, this is Concrete Conspiracies newsletter. Let's see. All right. This is the structure of the Church of Satan, which is the Utah ritualistic case. Okay. And this is way back October 13th of 2022 is whenever she posted this. And it says, warning, sensitive information, read with caution. Note, I speculate a lot in this article. Everything I say when it comes to the structure of the cult and its members is just me investigating. Everything I talk about will come from the victim statements. Don't assume that just because it's talked about that it's an absolute fact or that people mentioned are absolutely guilty. This is wrong. We won't know for sure until they are proven to be guilty in a court of law. If they ever get there. How about that? I'm just going to add that on there. Okay, so basically we're going to start out with, in today's article, I will dive into the structure of the cult mentioned in the Utah County ritualistic case as the Church of Satan. We're just going to call it the CS, the Church of Satan, or the group, okay? I will expose many alleged perpetrators, reveal how the cult works, and uncover its laws and doctrines. Although much of the information I already know, I will be using research put together by a fellow investigator working to uncover this case like me. You can find his stuff here. And so that's Goel, okay? While reading along, you might want to have access to the victim statements yourself. You can find those here. So I have that link too. Let's begin. Sorry. Okay, so there's 150 plus alleged members of the Church of Satan, according to the victim statements. The VS is a victim statement, okay? Just know that's substituted for that. All right, I'm going to try and say all their names. Nelson and Julie Adekadis, Mike and Rebecca Allen, Allred, Bobette Allred, Hugh Allred, Jeff Allred, Linda Allred. Now, this is interesting because Tim Ballard is related to some Andersons, right? Nephi Anderson. And anyways, so Agnes Anderson is Richard Anderson's mother. So that would be the Hamlin daughter's grandmother. or great-grandmother, actually, I think. All right, we have Garrett and Carol Anderson, Nathan Anderson, James and Lisa Arrington, Dr. Baird, doctor, Joe and Lee Binion. Look at all those page numbers right there. That's what I'm looking at. I also read an article last night that I had not seen at all over the past few years, and it came from Lynn Packer, and I was like, well, hell, here it is, like 3 years down the road, 2 years down the road, and I haven't seen these. And I like getting the different views from different people. I don't like just getting my research from one source. I mean, I like the diversity of it from multiple sources, right? And it helps build the picture. It helps give us some context and really just fill out the missing pieces, so to speak. But and so what Lynn Packer had said in that, it was on American Crime Journal, and it was written by Damian Moore, actually. And it basically and so I'm gonna say it from this point, just kind of freestyling, not going to look at it or anything, what he wrote. So I'm just gonna say allegedly, and don't quote me, but that they had more stuff on Gordon Bowen than they did anybody else out of all these things. And nobody would touch him. He actually even brought, allegedly, David Hamlin to turn himself in, and get arrested and everything. But nobody touched Gordon Bowen, okay? And nobody in the media, I mean, you got to think, if he's the quote unquote prodigal son of M. Russell Ballard, who just, died November 12th of 2023, then I mean, why? Why he's excommunicated also. He's got some demons in his closet. Definitely. It's just interesting. But okay. So Lucy Binion, I'm sorry, Joe Binion was the punisher in the group. Okay. So, but that's interesting because so is Gordon Bowen, allegedly. Lucy Binion, I don't know how to say this, Bigneys, I guess. Bonnie, Gordon Bowen. See, he didn't have that many, not as many as the other Punisher dude. Joe Binion right here. And so I just want you to, while we're going through this, think about Southern Utah. You had Jody Hildebrandt. She lived in Southern Utah, St. George area. Okay. Ruby Frankie. She, I want to say didn't she live in the same town as where Chad was born? Chad was born in Provo, but him and Tammy lived in Springville for quite a while before moving to Rexburg. So just keep these things in mind, because this is what Goel pointed out to me whenever I talked to him months ago. The fact that Chad Daybell was a sexton, and I was like, yeah, and people got to work, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. Before, I mean, maybe I'm just weird. Maybe it's just me, and I'm okay with that. But I was actually looking into, before all this stuff happened, I was looking into starting, this is going to sound crazy, like a gravesite cleaning, like just to go and, because I would do it for my mama all the time. She'd buy the flowers. I'd do the whole arrangement and everything. And then we'd go to the graveyard. We'd clean the graves. You know what I mean? Just kind of keep them up and everything. And I mean, I was like looking for a business name, and then all this happened. And I was like, oh my God, he's a sexton. Oh my God. Like it just was weird that, I don't know. It was just weird. But it's peaceful. I was like, oh my God, nobody bother you, like you make your own hours. Just, I take pride in that kind of stuff. I like to work with my hands. I like to dig in the dirt. I like to do stuff like that. I mean, not digging graves, but I like to, I like to be outside. And yeah, they didn't have anything like that back then. Now they do. I mean, I researched like all over the United States, and I mean, they had some up in the northeast side of the country, but yeah, I thought of all kinds of neat names and stuff. But anyways, him sitting on that grave with his book. Yeah, I know. Right? Oh. Yeah, you are precious, Donna. What did Zero say? Zero, that is interesting. Oh, DJ Norman. Oh, yeah, I need to upload that. I have like a little 3-second clip, and it's like membership has its privileges, right? Because that's Gordon Bowen, the American Express commercial. Gordon Bowen worked for Coca-Cola. He's worked on ad campaigns for all kinds of things. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the whole Jesus, and it's plain. I mean, but he got paid to come up with that logo or whatever. It's weird. But he also now listen to this, and I mean, I don't again, it's gonna be real loose in my I don't have it together, but it was something about a portal. I'm not playing. I'm not even playing. And okay, I'm not gonna go search for that right now because we got other things to get to, but it was some kind of design that he likes to allegedly borrow other people's ideas and then use them for his own. That's how I understand it. It kind of seems to go with the rest of the flow of the people in these. It seems like Tammy did all the she busted her ass to allow Chad to have all this time on his hands and all this time and energy that he was not putting into, his own family, his own wife, their own life. And he was okay with his wife busting her ass for, and shaming her for playing and escaping in her mind. I would. I mean, that's how I look at it. To play what, Farmville or whatever it's called, Frontier, whatever the hell. I forget the name of it. But and then he can't even be a man about it and just be like, "Hey, Tammy, I'm Chad, not Grandpa Dan and Aunt Sue and nobody, no spirit, okay." Okay, that's who has Chad's balls, or the spirits. He's got spirit balls. Anywho, but I mean, he never had a backbone to even. He just seems very judgmental. Obviously, it's black, it's white, it's dark, it's light, right? But I mean, again, I think it goes into this whole. Oh my god, my nose itches. It goes into this whole twisted opposite view of thinking. That is scary. It is freaking scary, and so you're like, how many more people are out there doing the same stuff? Because each case that comes, on public notice, and we're like, "Oh, hell, what the hell's going on over there?" But it seems to be a lot of the same patterns, and it seems to be a lot of things coming from the church. And I mean, I'm not trying to bust whatever. I'm just it goes where it goes. They don't handle anything, in my opinion, so it's here for us to figure it out because they don't ever draw a definitive line in the sand, just like Chad. Now that I think about it, they don't ever just say, "Hey, the church never." I mean, again, they're just your church leaders. They're not your mom and your dad. So, and you are your own person. When you become an adult, you know what I mean? Like it's your responsibility as a human being. Period. Okay? So, we can't blame everything on the church. We cannot we have to take some accountability because if not, then we end up like all these other people. Okay. Team Zero over there. Not you Zero, but you know what I mean. But so it's because I do see, where you gotta kind of be kind of careful with that too. You can't just be like, it's all their problem. It's not. It's your problem. You got to do it. You got to face the repercussions. A choice and a consequence. Choice and a consequence, right? DJ says the seed of loin fire is being planted in, in the wrong hole. I can't believe I read that out loud. Oh my god. Free Chad, give him fertile ground for seeding his prophetic lineage. Well, too late. They're over there in Rexburg. He channeled the dead grandma-in-law. Yeah, it just went away. Lucille. Grandma Lucille. He channeled, okay, in-law and birth and death dates like the Mormon leaders do. Interesting. DJ Norman, Lori's parts. I don't need to read Bewitched or DJ Norman stuff out loud. Lamisa says, still haven't come out and said Visions of Glory is denounced. And they won't. I don't think so. I mean, and then again, it goes on down the domino effect or whatever, down the way to the next man, that's going to get splatted with it. And you have Tom Harrison not taking accountability for his book, that in the book he says, I'm Spencer and I take full responsibility for this book. Well, okay, Spencer, how the hell do I find you if I don't know and do and dig or, anyways, it just, no, you're not being accountable, because now, now that you know who he is, he's like, no, John Pontius, he just kind of put some stuff in there that I didn't approve, but, only when it serves me and only when it suits me, that way I can put it off on somebody else and I never have to take responsibility. And I just think that's wrong. My children they know whenever they're responsible for things, we go through this all the time, but not here, not on these church streets. Okay. All right. So back over there. Let me do this again. Okay. All right. We're going to have Joe and Lee Binion. Joe Binion was, quote, the Punisher in the group. Okay. And then there's Lucy Binion. Oh, I already said this. Bignies or Beanies or I don't know. Bonnie, Gordon Bowen, John Bunting, Bushmans, Brian Capener, I guess, Jan Carpenter, Evan Carson, Kathy Carson, Cliffany, right? It's a weird name. Cliffany, Hamlin neighbor in Provo. Coleman, Dr. Coleman, right? Doctor, you got to think about, like, I think about GHB being in JJ's system. Where did that come from? Right? You don't just grow it in your backyard, I don't think. No, I'm speaking ignorantly, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, then we have, yeah, he's a veterinarian at that. All right, then we have, quote, Corey. And then we have Craig Christensen and Susan Sookie Christensen. Susan Sookie is David Hamlin's sister. One of them, I think. Pretty sure. I would love to know Jody Hildebrandt's parents. I really think that she comes from this same circle. I mean, if you think about it, hurt people. That's kind of been my whole philosophy, or that's how I kind of come to know things and learn things about everything. Usually when we're hurt, we want to hurt other people, and not on purpose. I think it's just we're hurt, so we go to defend ourselves and yada yada. All right. Carol and Clyde Dangerfield, Mark Davis, Belle and Dean DeJong. I guess I'm saying that right. Karma and Richard Lloyd Anderson DeJong. I guess I'm saying it. I don't know how you say that. All right. Garrett DeJong. There's a lot of these. Nola DeJong. Rosabelle Weingar DeJong. LCD. I don't know how to say this. It is, I think Chinese or something. Fa. Okay. Fa. A long, long way to run. Okay. All right. Angela Fenton, she's also going by CJ, Jeffrey, in the statements at least. Tara. So Tara, Jeffrey, CJ, Angela, they're all one person. Okay. Then we have Ford, which is Ford Stevenson, who is married to Roselle Stevenson now. And Roselle, out of all this group, she's the only one currently in jail. Okay. She's like in her 70s too. She's a grandma in jail. Oh, I wonder if she was in the same jail with Rubicon and Jody. That's weird. All right. Carol and Garrett, Conrad Gottfredson. Okay, y'all, I'm related to Greens and I'm related to White. So I was like, whoa, what? The Greens. Green Alches, Tom Green. Isn't he like a polygamist or something? Allegedly. Greg, Ann Gregerson, David Hamlin and Rosie Hamlin, Robert and June Hamlin. Y'all, when I first read about Robert Hamlin, he is the father of David Hamlin. And I learned that he was like this sociologist or whatever, and he got government funding to do experiments or whatever on these kids, like back in the day, like up in on the East Coast somewhere, I forget where. And it was basically this reward behavior. Okay. Like if like they would move them into like a subdivision or whatever, and they would go for like children or, families that were low income. So they were in poverty. They could use the money, right? I just really think that that's so exploited so badly. And that tends to be the trend. I have been thinking really hard about, I'm like, what can I name my book? Because I mean, God, it could be all kinds of things, right? And I've thought about many different things. And I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about this all week, anyways. Like, exploit. The whole thing is no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether it's the victims of the violent crimes, or if it's the family members who are grieving them, or friends grieving them, no matter what, there is so much exploitation. It is freaking bonkers, you know? I mean, I fight with do I share their picture? Do I not? You know? It's taught me so many things just about sharing my own children's faces and stuff like that. And, I didn't ever check these things before. They were never on my radar. And then, I see Ruby Frankie and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's horrible." Just exploitation is bad. It's no matter where on the spectrum you are in this violent crime, whether you're a family member of victims or whether you are an actual victim that's living, or whether you are the judge or the jury or even the criminals themselves. There's so much exploitation. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. Anyways, Exploited. That'd be a good book name. But anyways, it should be definitely a topic in there. All right. Okay, so we have David Lee and Rosie Hamlin. We have his parents are Robert and June Hamlin, Stephen and Jeannie Hamlin, and then we have Hancock. All right, Hanson, Gary and Bonnie Hanson. We have James Harmston. Isn't he like a polygamist too? Allegedly. All right, we have Elaine Harmston, Howard, the Howards. I don't know how to say this. Huckel, tribal chief. Inoue, president, New York member of the Hamlin Ward. Jan, father of a girl in an apartment building where Hamlins lived. Jenna, Carla Jemison. Oh, I remember reading that statement. Oh my gosh. Okay. Joe Hansen, stake president Joe Hansen. Janae Jones, Ashley Jones, which is Janae's daughter. June, which is, David Hamlin's mom. Ian Kelly, I think it is. Ian Kelly. We have Kevin and Khalil Kelly. Brian and Suzanne Krishishnik. Noah Krishishnik. I think I'm saying it right. Nola's daughter is, quote, Kim. I want to say this is Kissy. Oh, hell. I just had her name. Damn it. I forget it. Kissy Watkins, I think is her name. Lynn Packer reported, if that's the same one, I don't know, on her. She would cast out, would do like Christ-centered energy healing or whatever. And like her and Melvin Fish would cast out Gordon Bowen's demons, and they would put a percentage on them. I remember freaking out about that. I was like, oh my God, that's Melanie Pulaski with the 90% gay Brandon. Hello. With the gay meter in the temple, remember? All right, so then we have Cree Tuttle. She's a Hamlin. I guess that would be David's sister. All right, we have Ann and Paul Larson. They're into film. Linda. We have Gary and Joy Lundberg, y'all. These people are therapists, okay? And in 2015 or 2016, I found an article from East Idaho News who featured them. Okay? Go read their statements. They're on these pages right here. Yeah. All right. So David and Shalom Levitt, they are now getting a divorce, allegedly. Remember, Levitt's the one that moved into a whole freaking castle in Scotland, not just anywhere, in Scotland. And he's over there. He's got CIA ties with Victor Yoshenko. That was the whole weird statement that was made that's now being held as evidence. It was on a video. It was a documentarian about adoption or whatever. And he was talking about how he walked onto an Indian reservation, a Cheyenne, I want to say it was Cheyenne Indian reservation. And he just told the chief, hey, something about procuring like a buffalo baby, which to me, I read, this is what I got out of it. And so let me know if that's what you got. But I got, in my mind, was like red flag, red flag. Oh my God. Everything was going off because I'm like, that is sex trafficking. Because what I got from it was, the way he made it sound, the way he worded it, it was like, we're just going to do this business deal, me and Victor, or me and the Ukraine government or whatever, and we are going to set up a trade, where we trade Indian. I'm saying Indian, Native American. Who knows? Okay, there's so many flying parts around here. So, anyways, and so Shalom, she's got ties to the Assailant Institute, BYU. She's a sex therapist. Interesting. They're all interesting. They all are shady, in my opinion. We have Shalom, Levitt's sister. Levitt's sister, Shalom. I don't know. That's weird. Written weird. Ann Matson, Jim McDonald. All right, we have sister of who was a peacemaker in her family, Melanie. Okay. Then we have Dr. Myers, another doctor there. And then we have Ewan Mitten, married to Jay Mitten's brother. Jay Mitten, James and Linda Mooney. Okay. That's the one who exploited the loophole in the, I don't know which act it was, but it had something to do with Native Americans and being able to carry buttons of peyote and, for religious purposes, like in these, ceremonies or whatever that they're doing. It makes me think of Sean Little Bear and how he claimed in these screenshots, and so did Nancy James in her screenshots that she shared with other people around the web during when the kids were missing and everything. And about, it's kind of funny because like Nancy James is like, yeah, he's Sean Little Bear, he's the chief of all chiefs. And I was like, oh my God, did you fall for that? He's the medicine man. He's the this. He's everything. He's our meal ticket right now. So, and I mean, you can hear in the screenshots, the tone she's taking with somebody who's like going and raising red flags about Sean Little Bear, And so, but that's Mike and Nancy James' meal ticket. And so they go in and they defend and they shame people. It's so toxic. I swear. They're such judgmental people for being Christ-like, I'm like, no, that's not my Christ. Oh no, we don't have the same Christ. And I mean, here, let's keep going so I can tell you that. Okay, Conrad Nelson developed the child porn photos and made copies. Nathan developed. Okay, we have Conrad Nelson, Paul Paxman, which is their last name, Shirley and Monroe. We have Ella Peacock, artist and neighbor in Spring City. We have Dale Peel. I remember, okay. All right. Sister, quote sister, and husband unnamed in the 14th Ward, Pratley. We have Richard and Robert. And right here it says Richard as High Counsel, Peacemaker. This will all come together in a little bit. We have Renee, in quotes. We have Rosie, Lisa Ritting. Y'all remember that Mormon story not too long ago? Paul Ritting, Lisa Ritting. All right. Sarah, in quotes, Lee Binion's sister, and Nola Sullivan's daughter-in-law. All right. Schroeder. We have Mike and Paula Schulte or Schult, Tom Schult, Shawnee, Sheepdog, and David and Deborah Sheets. We have Sharon or Sharain, former Spring City client of David Lee Hamlin with a question mark. Smith, Joseph Alvin Smith, Julie Mitten Staples, Kim and Craig Stevens. Okay, no. Clyde and Nola Sullivan. We have Michael and Christine, Nola's son and daughter-in-law, Sullivan. We have possible Suki as Susan. Okay. And I told you earlier up there, that was David Hamlin's sister, one of them. We have the three Graces. Okay. You'll learn who they are. Tom, Turkish Man, Tim and Cree Tuttle. Cree is Hamlin, maiden name. Okay. Do y'all remember I think this Craig is weird, this name. And this is where I'm just like, I want to place it there, but I don't have enough evidence, yet, enough facts out there. But there's Craig Ballard. There's, this could be anybody. I don't know who the hell Uncle Craig is, unless it's like Christensen. I even went and looked there was a Christensen doctor that testified in Lori's trial to the remains of Tylee. I want to say Tylee and JJ both, or was it? I forget who was over what. I didn't really hone in on those because I can't really. I don't know. Some days I can, some days I can't. Anyways, I tend to block them out, but it just would be interesting to know that Christensen doctor. I try to see. I'm like, wait, do they know them, or just make sure there's no associations. If there is, it would be nice to know. All right, we have Norman and Cindy Van Wagenen, Bell's son and daughter-in-law. We have Ellen Walker, the Waltons, Terry Warner, Andy Watson, art teacher, Lynn Whitesides, Wilkinson, redacted, unnamed friend of one of the victims in victim statement 3. We have Daryl Wilson, David Wilson, Alyssa Wolf, Josh and Melanie Jorgensen, which is Melanie Jorgensen is peacemaker in her family. All right, here we go. Okay, let me take a sip. I'm going to try and talk right. All right. The beliefs of the Church of Satan, according to the witness statements. All right. Think about Tim, Jody, Ruby, Chad, Lori, Melanie Gibb, Audrey, the Hamlins. Think of just all these headline cases, okay? And try to figure out kind of who's in what role, in my opinion. But, you do see this is where we're going. It's the beliefs of the Church of Satan. It's been right here in plain sight, literally in my face. It just, I don't know. It clicked together for me. All right. According to victim statement number 2, it's going to be some harsh words, so I'm not going to hold back. Just letting you know if you're sensitive to that. According to victim statement number 2, the group believed that Lucifer was the what? Was the firstborn of God's children. Church of the Firstborn, maybe? I don't know if they're twisting it this way. I don't know. All right. We have older than his brother, Jehovah. Lucifer held the birthright succession to take God's place after his experience on earth. So Lucifer held the birthright succession to take God's place. Okay. Whenever God, retires? After his experience on earth. They believe that God was once a man, as man was once, whatever. I don't know that saying, but anyways, God wanted his spirit offspring to follow after him and become gods. Lowercase. And he called a great council. Okay, that's capitalized right there. Proper nouns, proper name. To outline his plan. So he called a great council to outline his plan. Okay, it says Lucifer presented a superior plan to that of Jehovah, one that would bring back God's, quote, beloved children after they had received bodies. Okay. The group believed that they, as high ranking spirits in their premortal lives, right? And this is so, to me right here, this is Tim Ballard right here. Boy, just that cockiness and just greater light knowledge. It reminds me of Jason Mao. It reminds me of a lot of people. Not far behind the knowledge and power of Heavenly Father. So the group believed that they, as high ranking spirits, so they were already exalted over there in their premortal lives. Okay. Remember all those ones where they were like, you know, all the important spirits like Joan of Arc, Mary Magdalene, James the Just, Nephi, Moroni, and all them. Okay. All right. God, however, did not want to cede his throne past his natural time. Okay. Jehovah plotted against Lucifer to gain his birthright and the throne. Okay, according to the group's mythology, Jehovah beguiled. Yeah, I looked this up earlier. I was like, is that like Tim Ballard's baguette? His sizzle, that something about baguette. I don't know. He uses it in a quote. I looked up powder, keeping our powder dry too, because it was said by Eric Mutzos. It was said by Glenn Beck, and it was said by Rod Meldrum in that little bitty time frame. All right. All right. So, according to the group's mythology, Jehovah beguiled God and the council using flattery, which caused them to back his effort. I don't know what that means, thereby enabling him to defeat Lucifer. All right. So, God and the council. I'm just having to kind of go over it again because it's like hard to understand the concept. According to the group's mythology, Jehovah, whoever that is, I mean, is that Jesus? I don't know. I'm not at all versed. As much as I look through all this crap, I just kind of, I don't know. I've been with a purpose. Okay, so according to the group's mythology, Jehovah beguiled God and the council using flattery, which caused them to back his effort, not with a capital H, thereby enabling him to defeat Lucifer. God was urged by Jehovah to throw Lucifer out of heaven. And Lucifer knew that he was soon to assume his role as, quote, Satan, which the group believed had been played in other worlds. Played, okay? Like this reminds me of New Name Noah and how, the videos that he's exposed over the years in the temple, okay? Where okay, I was listening to John Dehlin the other night. It was Cults to Consciousness. Why can't I think of her name right now? But anyways, it was her Mormon story. She's pregnant right now. And anyways, all this time, I know I've said it so many times here, and I don't know if anybody is here that remembers, but I was like, I've never been in a temple, but I just kind of imagine it to be like when I went to Disney World and anyways, Disney World in Florida and the Epcot Center. You just kind of get in this ride and it's like going through evolution and you just kind of go in the big ball. It's that big golf ball looking thing or whatever. It's huge, Epcot. And you just kind of ride through. It's real cool and everything. And you go, through the different decades, like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And so that's exactly how I described how I envisioned the temple. But then I heard John Dehlin say in her interview, he was talking about it, they were talking about it, and he brought it up about that, how you used to go through the different stages. And I was like, oh my God, yes. That's just like I imagined it. He said, but now they have it where they show, I guess, the Latter-day Saints a video and it brings you through the different stages or whatever, booths or whatever you want to call it in the temple. So I thought that was interesting. So, all right. Lucifer knew he was soon. Okay. All right. And Lucifer, oh my gosh, God was urged by Jehovah to throw Lucifer out of heaven, and Lucifer knew that he was soon to assume his role as Satan, which the group believed had been played in other worlds and eternities. Okay. I thought we didn't believe in e- mm-mm. It's this crap right here. It's just one of the many problems, because just because you deny it doesn't mean that it's true. Just because you claim that you don't believe in reincarnation, but you have a premortal life, you've got the afterlife. That's there you go. That's 1, 2, 3 right there. That's enough. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Then I remember thinking, just from listening to Julie Rowe and just trying to understand what her view was of it, and what I got from her, just so I could kind of see how Lori and Chad were thinking. You know what I mean? I'm sure they all kind of view the same things as pretty much the same thing. Not everybody's going to be exactly the same, but she was talking about um how she's always a female, when, in all these past lives and yada yada. She's never a blade of grass, she's never a rock or a piece of wood or whatever. She's always, I don't know. So I think that might be the difference in their what makes it multiple mortal probations and what makes it reincarnation for the rest of the godforsaken world, right? It just everything's so damn different, and but barely. Yeah, and well, no, it's way different, but it's like the definitions and the keywords and the buzzwords, they change, and definitions change, and everything's so everybody seems to be a lot more literal in this group, right? Okay, so all right, had been which the group believed had been played in other worlds and eternities. Lucifer developed a plan to, this sounds like, in my opinion, right here, Lucifer developed a plan to overthrow Jehovah. Doesn't that sound like the Constitution's hanging by a thread a little bit? They're going to overthrow the government, right? And God, in order to enable his brothers and sisters to return from their mortal lives. Because I really do think that this brood of people, and again, what I say about them sounds just as batshit crazy as everything else. It's not my thoughts. It's what I've gathered just from picking up what they're putting down. And so many of them talk about the second coming of Jesus Christ. So many of them talk about ushering it in. And so I really do think that they are, in my opinion, the Gadian robbers, so to speak. They are the quote unquote secret society. They are exactly what they were always warned about in their Book of Mormon and growing up. And so whatever they are projecting, whatever they are warning you against, whatever they are like screaming about, um, even advocating about with Tim Ballard, in my opinion, I really do think that what they, and so this brings me all the way down to Lori. Whenever Rob Wood met with Summer Shiflett, Lori's sister, it was early on in the case. This is whenever Mark Means and John Pryor were trying to uh, get Rob Wood thrown out, anyways, as prosecutor. And they brought out the transcript and the tapes or whatever of him and Summer Shiflett's conversation, which is when we learned that the state was pretty much going to start leaning towards, or they were leaning towards going after the death penalty and charging them with murder and, all this stuff. And anyway, so I remember it verbatim. And Rob Wood said to Summer, he said, what Lori has done, she thinks she has done in righteousness. And I'm just like, okay, that fits. That fits with what I saw the other day and many times before studying these people with Jody Hildebrandt. I love these kids. No, you don't. No, yeah, you don't. Honey, you don't love yourself. Like, you are miserable and you're making everybody else miserable around you. Although I think that she was raised up here, allegedly, my opinion, my view, I think that she was raised up in one of these training families, one of these families that actually brings their children, think of Ruby Frankie, brings their children to what? Mormon therapists, who they're recommended to them too. And they are there to train their children. Okay. Very much like a damn concentration camp. Okay, up is down, down is up, wrong is right, left is it's just backwards. It's opposite. They even have a game that they play called Opposite Game, and it's just I think it's generational. I don't think it was ever just like, oh, here you go. Here, this is so weird. But I mean, again, I think you could brainwash anybody if you just confuse them enough with all that and wear them out a great deal, with all the, can you imagine all the mental gymnastics that has to take place just to live with somebody who's, putting that on somebody else? Like, it would be so confusing and so taxing, I think. And so when you're children and if you're taking them around to other CS members to train your children to, I mean, there's accusations in here, or there's accounts from the alleged the victims in the Hamlin case, that the boys are trained to be able to have their way with their mothers, their sisters, anytime they want. I couldn't help, and I don't know this, but I get the impression, I don't know, it's just what I'm seeing from the outside, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I wanna be wrong. I don't have an agenda in this, but I'm sorry, R, and E, and if you just go read some of these statements, these alleged horrible abuse, okay? I mean, unimaginable, unconscionable, where and so the boys, they are told by no, I'm sorry, the Mormon therapist, David Hamlin, would have allegedly told some of these moms, these Ruby Frankies, so to speak, "Here, you're gonna put and make him watch porn all day. Like, you're gonna put this on the TV, and you're gonna do this. You're gonna subject them to all these things, and he can have his way with his sisters, okay? Anytime, all right? And y'all just act to it." There's more that is in this. It's crazy. Ugh. And it makes me think of the inappropriateness with Lori and Alex, okay? And there's got to be way more in there. Then you think about, that's my protector, okay? That's my protector, okay? These are the only people I know that ever use these kind of freaking weird names. And also another one that I thought of, and I mean, I haven't even got to it yet, but there's the Punisher, the Peacemaker, the Peter Familius or whatever. There's the Conspirator, the Deaf One. Okay, they have all these roles, okay? And I remember Girl on Fire. Okay, she was the one who did, I think, a couple interviews, or one for sure, with Lauren on Hidden True Crime about, that's when we found out about, she went under Girl on Fire. It was her and her husband, Paul, and we heard more about, these weird, kind of while they were meditating, and they were using these essential oils, and we've been married in a previous life. That's Tom Harrison 101. That's Chad Daybell. That's Julie Rowe. That's Tim Ballard. I mean, we got this going on. It's now not even a shock. We're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's check. All right. Okay. So these ideas come from somewhere. But anyways, it got me to thinking about whenever she first laid out her stories. And I mean, I don't have them on hand right now, but I do remember, because I couldn't figure out, I was so aggravated whenever she put her story out on a podcast. It was before Lauren, was able to interview her. And I mean, I emailed, we emailed just trying to find out more information, and she did it. And to me, I was like so sick of the riddles. I was so sick of the code. I was just like, I don't want to do another riddle or code or figure out scriptures or Nephi and Laban. I don't give a shit. I just can we just be point blank? Like, we're adults, and what's all this? Okay. But in hers, and this is no shade on her, I'm just saying, this is another one of those things that it just reminded me. And so there was Queen Bee, which was Julie Rowe, I think, and then the witch was glory, and then there's the protector, there's the executioner, and I don't remember the roles, but okay. I mean, I'm just saying this all goes kind of hand in hand. Anyway, so all right. Okay. So yeah, this reminds me of them Constitution hanging by the thread. Lucifer developed a plan to overthrow Jehovah and God in order to enable his brothers and sisters to return from their moral lives. What, and usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ? Just asking. Which is, it would be the new Jerusalem, aka the new world order, aka you know. And if you think about it, with all the philanthropists, with all the big tech, with all these big rollers, I mean, they got, I don't know what's going on. It just isn't, it's not nice. I know that. They exploit everything they touch, in my opinion. Everything that's good, they exploit it. The group believed that Lucifer's, quote, great intellect followers, unquote, were the only ones promised a high status and ranking in his kingdom on earth and progression in his future kingdom. Okay. I would love to hear zero on this. I'm not over there right now, but I would just, I remember hearing, because I watch different things. I listen to different things from different faiths, even, I go wherever. And I want to say it was, yeah, he's a very knowledgeable guy. It starts with a V. Anyways, he has like a lecture series or whatever, and he was Catholic at once. Now he don't go to church now, and I'm like, high five, right? um, and just all the Freemasonry, all the occult, okay, is around us, and it's bizarre. You got the Pope doing weird shit. You got the Mormons go visit the Pope. You got, the Jehovah Witnesses over here, and then Scientology, and then you got what is that? The Process Church, and then just all these different organizations. That's what they are. And then they all have they exploit the 501c3. They hide behind the guise of doing good. They hide behind the guise of the Lord Jesus Christ and God. They mock religion. They misinterpret it. They spew it wrong. I would say on purpose, in my opinion, and or they learn it this way as a generational Satanist. Okay, and you end up here. Up is down, down is up. You end up with, scratching your ass while you're sitting in purgatory jail over there in Utah, wondering like, what the hell was I thinking? What? Oh my God, And so from a biblical perspective or from a spiritual perspective, I was always, learned that Satan is the master deceiver. Okay. And so he can't be God. That's why he was cast out anyways, because he wanted to be God. And you don't do that. No, you don't try to become a God. You don't exalt yourself. Nobody gets to do that. So there you go. Power trip. And anyway, so they're not serving God, so to speak. But then here's Satan at work, in my opinion, if you're looking at it from my belief system, my view is just that this is how Satan works. He's just subtle, and it's like he plants a false with a little bit of truth. And it's just enough to it's Joseph Smith, it's L. Ron Hubbard, it's the Pope, it's, all these beliefs, and all they've done over time is evolve and evolve and evolve until we're oppressed people, and we don't know. We're all indoctrinated still. I mean, like, I don't go to church, but I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not indoctrinated from my government, or, I mean, just my own environment, But anyways, okay, so the group believes that Lucifer's great intellect followers were the only ones promised a high status and ranking in his kingdom on earth and progression in his future kingdom, which would be what? New World Order? Or second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay, so Lucifer would eventually lead his church to victory against God the Father. Lucifer would lead his church to victory. The adults claimed that Lucifer would choose the body of one of his followers to inhabit. Okay, I believe it. Straight up. I looked at my Aunt Lori and I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is. Okay. First time I saw her, we after I saw her on the, with Nate Eaton on the news, and I was like, okay, who is that? That's not the woman I met. That's not the woman I loved. That I don't know who that is. And so that the day that Lori walked into the courtroom in Idaho in March of 2020, she was dead to me. Like that was just a carcass, and I was like, she's a zombie, And again, I guess that's why I was just able to sever that tie. I don't know, and she became unrecognizable to me. And so she's still with that all, and all that shit. They possess. I'm just saying. Chad Daybell like totally changed his appearance and everything. It was crazy. It wasn't just a Lily diet plan either. Oh, anyways. All right. So, yeah. So the adults claimed that Lucifer would choose the body of one of his followers to inhabit. And Lori's like, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Anyways, which was said to be the highest honor one can achieve. Victim number 2 also made note of the opposites game, quote, opposites game, in which terms were inverted. Okay. Abuse was not abuse at all. And love was the sexual satisfaction of adults. While hate was going against the Church of Satan by resisting the abuse. We just made a whole circle right there. By R-wording the children, the adults were glorifying Lucifer and, quote unquote, raising up a righteous seed to him. The adults also taught their children that killing those who went against the group was righteous. Okay. That one stood out to me. I'm sorry. I had to clear my throat. Yeah. The adults taught their children that killing those who went against the group was righteous and, quote, furthering the Lord, Lucifer, work on earth. Okay. Evil was said to be a designation given by God and Jehovah. Who's God and Jehovah? Okay. To justify their unjust actions towards Lucifer. Evil was said to be a designation by God and Jehovah to justify their action. What? What? That don't even make sense. Anyways, the mythology was said to have been recited and reenacted in 91 or 92 in a condo in Provo. Okay, I think. Anyways, all right, after which the victim was tortured by a female adult who took pins and pricked her down their area, internally and externally. This was punishment for the victim singing, quote, the armies of Helaman. LDS children's song. It reminds me of JJ singing on the bus. I don't know what song that is that he was singing. I've never heard it. Paul, I don't even know what he was singing. I just can kind of think of the little melody in my head, but I want to say mom told me that Lauren was like that her little boy would sing it too, and I was just like, oh, I still don't know what song it is, but anyways, it would be interesting. Okay, I don't. There's some things I'm like, do I even want to know that? I really don't. Okay, all right, so the armies of Helaman, LDS children's song in her room. Afterward, 2 other adults R-worded the victim in her top and in her both. You know what I mean? Down there, both sides. Once the grape was concluded, one of the adults gave a speech about the victim's, quote, responsibility in her role as the peacemaker. And then the adults put towels on the floor and everybody disrobed. Okay. The adult who spoke said that the participants would form the chain of Lucifer. Y'all, I looked that up and I was like, I don't even know what the hell that is. But anyways, I didn't watch The Crying Game, but it kind of makes me, is it The Crying Game or some other weird movie that I didn't watch? I didn't watch scary movies and stuff when I was younger. Not much. The chain of Lucifer, which consisted of adult participants forcing the children to perform sex acts on the adults. And remember, it's not. It's the opposite game. So, All these children are being trained generationally, year generation after generation, on to the next kid, on to the next kid. It makes me think about Barry. It makes me think about Janice and the temple and the weird relationship between Lori and Alex. Alex going to Columbia, doing whatever he the hell does, he was looking up tranny porn and stuff like that. Well, when was it? Around the time Tammy was shot at, I want to say. It was just weird. Okay, not that is. I'm just saying in this context, it's weird. I want to know more. All right. So that's abuse doesn't mean bad. Good is bad, bad is good. A righteous seed, raising a righteous seed to him. The adults were glorifying Lucifer, furthering the Lord Lucifer's work on earth. Evil was said to be a designation given by God and Jehovah. I mean, it's out there. All right. But it fits. All right. Hierarchy of the Church of Satan according to the victim statements. According to victim statement number 2, obedience to elders is supreme within the Church of Satan. The CS Church of Satan uses, quote, the council system. This is what I wanted to ask Zero earlier, was like, aren't there generals and things like that? Isn't that more like satanic side? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, asking. I don't know how heaven is lined up as far as not LDS. Okay. I've been studying LDS and I don't adhere to that. All right. According to victim statement. Okay. The CS Church of Satan uses, quote, the council system where the various groups each have a council with high councils. Okay. That's in quotes above the groups. Okay. The councils have titles for their exclusively male members, such as the peacemaker, who enforces the peace and silences everyone. Okay, now watch. I just pulled this up and I was like, oh my God. And I remember Sue Ellen sending me this a long time ago. And I never did look into it until tonight, right before it came on. And let me get over there. All right. So this is Jacob Hamlin. Jacob Hamlin. All right. Okay. It's about to get really weird. Hamlin was a Mormon pioneer and in 1850 settled in, I don't know how to say that, Tool, near Salt Lake City. He became well known for creating good relations between the white settlers and I want to say the Native Americans. Yeah. Jacob Hamlin was a Western pioneer, a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a diplomat to various Native American tribes of the Southwest and Great Basin. So I clicked this earlier. How many kids did Jacob Hamlin have? And I was like, oh shit. Oh, is it not right there? No, it's not. Okay. It was one of these little drop down boxes and it'll happen. All right. It says, what did Jacob Hamlin do? So, Jacob Vernon Hamlin, 1819 to 1886, devoted his life to the LDS Church. In particular, he spent his final 32 years serving as a missionary among American Indians in the Southwest United States. Southwest. Okay. And here's church history department. Okay. It says, was Jacob Hamlin an apostle? That's the first thing I ran across. I was like, oh shit. Okay. It says Jacob Hamlin would serve several missions to the Native Americans and become known as a friend and brother to his Lamanite associates. On December 15th, 1876, he was ordained an apostle to the Lamanites in St. George by President Brigham Young. Okay, so Jacob Hamlin, David Hamlin. See where this goes? Oh, here it is. Priscilla Levitt. Okay. I was like, oh no. All right. So Jacob Hamlin. Okay. I read all that. I just didn't go far enough down. Born Ashtabula County, Ohio. Died August 31st, 1886 in Pleasanton, New Mexico. Spouse. And he had 3. Priscilla Levitt. I was like, well, I wonder if that's Michael Levitt and David Levitt and, all the damn Levitt brothers and people, the Levitts. Okay. That's his brother-in-law. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're cousins. Who knows? Family, generational. it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And I should have known. I should have known. I should have listened to Ellen. I should have listened a long time ago. He had 24 children. In addition to the 24 children he had 4 wives. He adopted 3 Native American children. Hamlin was called by President Brigham Young to work with the Paiute Indians of southern Utah. This calling began a lifetime of work with various tribes. Okay. And I mean, they have an arch named after him. How tall is the Jacob Hamlin Arch? Where's the Jacob Hamlin Pond? I'm just like, oh my God, I just totally ignored this. Okay. Who was the LDS apostle that swore? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. But anyway, so there's that little tidbit of info. And then, okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Such as the peacemaker. Okay. So the peacemaker, which is assigned to victim number 2. Victim number 2, I want to say, is Rachel. I want to say she's a girl. David Hamlin only had girls. And so, I didn't show you all that part, but just take my word for it. That's the first thing I saw. I was like, Jacob Hamlin, a peacemaker? Oh my God. Like that was weird. I'm like, okay, that's got to be like one of the great, great, great grandfathers or something of the Hamlin daughters. And, anyways. All right. So it says the councils have titles for their exclusively male members, such as the peacemaker, who enforces the peace and silences everyone. The deaf one, who is deaf to Jesus Christ. I was like, aren't they all? Okay. I don't even really know what that means. I'll have to look that up later. As well as the deceiver. Who plays this role? Okay. In all these cases, in different cases, even the deceiver who is above public suspicion. To me, I kind of think of like M. Russell Ballard, above public suspicion. Like he's above scrutiny, right? You can scrutinize him or whatever, but they have such a stroke. They have such power that it doesn't matter what the hell we say. The conspirator, okay. The witness, which is the record keeper, and the punisher. Okay. Members who fall from grace within the CS face an internal disciplinary process that can end with torture and murder. This torture and murder will be carried out by the punisher. Okay. What about Alex? He was the protector. We heard that quite a few times and read it in text messages. Roles within the CS, according to the witness statement, are roles with the CS consist of roles within the CS family, as well as roles within various councils. You have the Peter Familias was the role assumed by the husband or eldest male within the family. So I would say, and I hate to do this, but like in the Frankie case, it would be, the one that they sent to the Anasazi. I don't know. I'm just trying to either, I'm just kind of profiling right now. Not saying that's so, but it just is interesting. Okay, so the Peter Familias, women and children are his property. And children can be used by the Peter Familias as, quote, collateral for getting ahead. Any favors or gifts bestowed by the Peter Familias, I hope I'm saying that right, came with a reciprocal obligation to pay him back. Usually with sexual favors. Victim number 2 indicated in her statements that as peacemaker, okay, she's a girl, but usually it's, I thought it was a boy, but anyways, it was her job to continuously express affection for her Peter Familias or whatever. So it's usually the dad or the male. Okay. Anyway, so, all right. The CS teaches that Lucifer refers to himself as what? The peacemaker. Okay. This threw me for a loop. I was like, oh my God. Anyways. All right. Which directly undermines Jehovah's designation as Prince of Peace in heaven. Okay. The peacemaker then is a title that goes directly from Lucifer in the regular and high councils, as well as each CS family. I guess. Okay. Each family assigns one child to be the peacemaker. Okay. Each family. All right. So, but each person is assigned by elders a part. Okay. This makes me think of this is like David Hamlin's parts theory. Okay. He's a freaking therapist. Well, not anymore. He lost his license, but he still does healing ceremonies and stuff, Don't stop him. Trust me. Yeah. Because of Brett Bluth, his license, kind of like he's like the Adam Steed in this story. The peacemaker, the high council. Okay, wait. Did I pass it apart? Okay. Is assigned by elders a part of them that is the peacemaker. The high council peacemaker surveils members to ensure obedience and mediates and ends disputes among members. This it makes me think of Melanie Gibb. Okay. You know how she was sent to go over here and see what Brandon was doing. And then, there's the bishop, Gabe Bonilla, who's calling her. And he's like, oh my God, did you hear Alex died? And then she's like, well, hold on, let me go snoop. And then she goes and snoops. And then she runs back and she runs back and tells everybody. And then she's like, but I don't follow me. I'm not a gossip, and she's the biggest damn gossip there is. She's got a mouth on her. Okay. Oh my gosh. But that's exactly who I was like, ew. And I kind of also get Janice from there. Or was it Summer? I forget now. It's been so damn long. We'll have to take a look at that. But somebody was going to run interference with Charles and stop him from confronting and facing Lori with a intervention. Right. So anyways, I'm just saying it's the same kind of like-minded thinking. And I'm just like, interesting. The high council peacemaker surveils members to ensure obedience and mediates and ends disputes among members. The peacemaker is required to maintain an outwardly mild-mannered and calm demeanor as part of their covenant. And they tell others that their actions are for the good. Right? Well, let me cue up old Melville. Oh, wait. Well, not that one. Okay. Oh, that's Audrey, my bad. Okay. Here we go. Oh,
Who were you praying to if it wasn't
oh,
Jesus?
this is Audrey too.
When at that other time when I said a prayer, the method that they were using didn't seem like a prayer.
Okay. So were they calling upon Father in heaven?
No.
Were they calling upon the devil?
Yeah, probably.
Not specifically, but the words that were used were like aggressive things.
And so this is your very first time that you spent with these ladies in a hotel room in Utah in 2019, and Charles Vallow was still alive, right?
Yes.
And they're
Yes,
saying
that's in here.
things, and you don't think it sounds like prayers to Jesus. You think it sounds like something else.
Correct.
I didn't know what it was, but it wasn't like a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And so were you worried for Charles Vallow at that time?
I didn't know what to think.
Did you call the police?
No.
So did you call church headquarters?
No.
No.
So you just thought, these are ladies, they're being kind of weird? Is that what you thought?
A little bit.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And so if you thought they were a bunch of weirdos, then you'd never want to hang out with them again, right?
Yes. But I thought it was just, I didn't know what to think of it, and that I didn't know about it, and it wasn't my thing personally.
So did you say, hey, ladies, this is stupid. Let's not do this.
Nope.
No, I just removed myself. I left right after.
But yet you kept getting together with these ladies.
That's the part
right?
that bothers me. I'm like, why'd you follow?
No, I did not know Zulema and Melanie Gibb very well.
So you met them after this first time. You met them again in Arizona, right?
Okay, so I mean
Yes.
that's basically to show that part, and then God, I'm so sorry about my throat, y'all. Allergies are so bad right now. Obviously all the time for me, but I think it's this house too. Okay, here we go. Then this always rubbed me wrong. Here, I'm gonna share some Melanie Pulaski with you.
Shooting,
Been a while.
I said, here's all the people Brandon associates with. And then he said, do you have Alex and Lori's number? I said, yeah, here's her number. Do you think they have anything to do with it? But when I heard that, I kind of was like, okay, it sounds like Brandon's trying to set them up for something. And I know they don't have anything to do with it. But later on in December, Alex passes away. And then on Christmas, I get a phone call from Brandon and he says, if you want to talk to your kids, I had to listen to him bullying me for an hour and threatening me and saying, you have to go to the FBI and say that Alex shot at me. And I said, I don't know that, Brandon. And he's like, if you ever want to see your kids again, you have to go and tell them that. And
I tell her the same damn thing.
Why did they never call Alex or say, hey, can you come in and meet with us? We have some questions for you.
They were watching you, girl.
But Brandon was so sure, but his story kept changing. So still to this day, I don't know what happened in this shooting. He had my dad on board sending me text messages saying, Melanie, sentencing is coming soon for you. They know it was Alex. They know it was, this Jeep registered to Tylee. And I've been trying to put the pieces together of what's going on because I don't have the facts to that. But the knowledge that I do have, it doesn't add up to all these, speculation and rumors that are flying around. And still to this day, I have not seen one shred of evidence about this shooting Brandon's claiming that leads me to believe that it was Alex Cox.
Do you believe that Brandon has turned dark?
Okay, this part right here.
No, and
you asked about Brandon.
In that document, the terminology, the way I understand this is in our faith, you have, as you increase in becoming closer to your Savior and act on obedience and righteousness, you increase in light. And as you, make bad decisions or, invite evil things into your life, you're losing that light of Christ.
So don't invite evil shit.
I can't tell, we talk about in our religion, the gift of spiritual discernment.
She's talking about LDS. She's talking to Nate Eaton.
Of people to know for yourself, hey, is this a good person I want to be having my life? Is this a bad person? And never is there ever any ill intent if somebody is not making good choices in their life to do harm to them. Pray for them and you bless those who persecute you and use you. And that's how I view it. And I don't see children as being light or dark. We believe in the age of 8 is the age of accountability when you're baptized. And from then on, you can make decisions in
now he asked
light or dark,
about,
if you will, and that's just the terminology. I see that as the way these things are worded. It sounds terrifying, and they're stemming from bits of truth, I guess, that we talk about in this in our religion, and that's kind of where that comes from.
And so he asked her about Brandon. She ends up on the damn kids, okay, which is interesting to me. Just saying, it's really interesting. All right, so now we're gonna go here. Oh wait, I gotta finish this. Sorry. I'm gonna try and pick up the speed here. All right. Okay, the High Council Peacemaker Survey. I already said all that. All right. A PM, a peacemaker, is appointed through a ceremony that is renewed through a lifetime in which a torch is passed. A torch. Remember that, because Gordon Bowen, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it just made me think of this because Gordon Bowen worked with Mitt Romney on, I think, the 2002 Olympics. I'll probably have the year wrong, but something like that. And anyway, so Gordon Bowen is who designed the torch that ended up being handed off to all those people, who participated in the 2002 Winter Olympics. I think it was in Salt Lake City. I think that was the year. I don't know. But it's just interesting. That's what came to my mind. A PM is appointed through a ceremony that's renewed through a lifetime, which I would say would be anyways, in which a torch is passed from the oldest peacemaker in a family to a child peacemaker. The torch symbolizes Lucifer as a light bearer, and the peacemaker is required to willingly endure trials in order to keep the peace. The covenant is partially found in Mosiah 18, which I looked up earlier, which that's a whole nother slew. Just copy and paste that into your browser and go to the LDS site about that. And you're just like, oh my God. Okay. I see why people are so deceived, because they're so backwards in thinking, and then they don't know Christ from Satan. And then, I mean, it's bizarre. They're like, yeah, we worship Jesus. I mean, they really are passionate about it, but it's just like, whoa, where are you? We're not worshiping the same deity. Okay. The PM is required to be the witness of the councils, and as such, a spy within their own family. Again, Melanie Gibb reminds me of her. Child PMs are mentored by older PMs as to their role and appropriate behavior. Victim 2's mentor referred to her sister, quote, Melanie. Victim 2 referred to her decision to discontinue participation with Angela Fenton, which was referred to by a bishop. Actually lived a dual relationship, just like with Jody Hildebrandt there, and Adam Seed's ex-wife, allegedly, and with Ruby. Just those weird boundaries. Also with Jesse, no respecter of persons or boundaries or anything like that. No respect of victims. I mean, of human rights, just basic human rights. Okay. Participation with Angela Fenton, CJ's therapy. Angela, some of her alters or whatever, because she had dissociative identity disorder, which is DID, allegedly. And so they compartmentalize their brains, right? And so, anyways, let's continue. As an event that was tantamount to turning in her peacemaker card. Another elder peacemaker arranged for victim 2 to live with another CS, where she was to help Melanie Mitten Jorgensen and another unnamed individual become better peacemakers. Other roles mentioned throughout the victim 2 statements are Master Mayhem and the Punisher. The latter, the Punisher, is kind of enforcer for the councils, who carries out R words, torture, and even murder at the order of CS councils. Master Mayhem appears to be a high-ranking position within the CS. They order murder and torture at the hands of the Punisher, who is an enforcer of CS discipline. The deaf one is said to be deaf to Jesus Christ in victim 2 statement, while the witness is the record keeper on CS councils. Victim 2 claimed that the role of the deceiver is designated for one who's above public suspicion. The conspirator, which reminds me of David Levitt, runs interference, reminds me of Janet Russin, runs interference for the CS by utilizing their position to attack and harass opponents. At Sean Reyes right there, in my opinion, of the CS and its agenda. Okay. And this is all for now. Okay, so that's out. And I got to read this first page, just the first damn paragraph. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. All right. Where'd it go? Right here. All right. So this is the paper that Goel was drafting. Okay. I'll give you all this link when I'm done. It's 490 pages, and it includes some of the, okay. Anyways, report for Utah legislature. Analysis of ritual abuse allegations and frequency in the David Lee Hamlin case. This is by Goel Investigations in Ritual Abuse, or IRA. All right. Introduction. Hold your pearls. Trigger warning still. In August 2022, a private client hired me to analyze the allegations contained within the released police report and victim statements in the original David Lee Hamlin criminal case from 2012 to 2014. Initial review analysis of the documents identified 17 separate allegations of specific homicide, with an indeterminate number of other alleged and unspecified homicides over a nearly 20-year period. Okay. Who do you think gets pinned with all these? Just wondering. Okay, the number of sexual assaults described in the victim statements defied efforts to quantification, as the Hamlin sisters alleged daily abuse at the hands of their parents and others within their parents' ritual abuse ring, which was allegedly named the Church of Satan, or the group. The allegations seemed implausible due to the sheer scale of alleged criminal activity. At first glance, it was extremely unlikely that an organized group would be able to commit 17 plus homicides over a 20-year period while evading detection. The Hamlin victim statements contained a ready explanation in terms of victimology. The group obtained victims from polygamous groups in Native American tribes. Oh, crap. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. I don't want to enter a code again. I'm sorry, y'all. All I did was, yeah. I'm thinking it's like a damn document. Okay, let me try this one again. Okay, let me try another one. Okay, here it is. Weird. All right, copy. All right, sorry. Okay. It highlighted it. Okay. From polygamous groups and Native American tribes, with children drawn from those groups, often lacking any official record of their existence, such as birth certificate or a social security number. In simple terms, the Church of Satan was procuring victims who did not officially exist. This was corroborated by research into the phenomenon of the Lost Boys with Utah and Arizona. The Lost Boys are teenage boys who have been expelled from polygamous groups after they reach a certain age, and they are in competition with older males in the group for child brides. The documented realities of Lost Boys and other polygamous sect members who escape the sects, I hate saying that word, or suffer expulsion or chilling. Quote, sect members who escape their compound are largely invisible to society and are often without birth certificates or social security numbers. They are akin to a refugee population, except they were born in the U.S., said Shannon Price, director of Diversity Foundation, a nonprofit that specializes in offering financial aid and scholarships to 400 polygamous children. The group provides $740 monthly to, I don't know what that means, that word, to care for Zach and Isaiah. When mothers escape their polygamous sect, they face the hard reality that their children have no official record of their existence. Polygamous leaders often decree that children born, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry, within the sect are prohibited from obtaining birth certificates because leaders do not want authorities to be aware of the groups, right? And whose names did we see on there? James Harmston. We saw Tom Green's name on there. Can you imagine? Yeah. All right. Presence or its membership. The lack of official documentation of a child's existence makes it difficult for parents to sign them up for services like Head Start. It also makes polygamous children ideal for trafficking. This provides circumstantial evidence, making the Hamlin sisters' allegations plausible. The documented history, not to mention just from Lynn Packer's reporting, just all the it's actually Goel. He reported that one of Gordon Bowen's acquaintances, Michelle, I think her name was, but there's a statement saying, I wonder how many boys are buried in his backyard or under his house or something like that. And I was just like, oh my God, can you freaking imagine? Oh, and then look at Chad. It is bizarre. All right. Samuel R. Bateman. The leader of a breakaway group of the FLDS was charged with conspiracy to transport a minor for sexual activity, interstate travel with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct with a minor, and production of child pornography. And in total, federal prosecutors indicted Bateman on 51 felony counts. Bateman also allegedly traded sex with a 12-year-old girl in exchange for a luxury car from his co-defendant Torrance Bisline or something. Bateman's case is by no means isolated. In British Columbia, Brandon and Gail Blackmore were found guilty of trafficking their 13-year-old daughter across the Canadian border into the United States for sexual purposes. And the case was the first criminal conviction involving a known trafficking corridor between British Columbia group and American sects like the FLDS. The Hamlin sisters' allegations go beyond mere sex trafficking. They allege that children from polygamous groups and Indian reservations are trafficked by Church of Satan for ritualistic sacrifices. Okay, Tylee JJ. I know that they're not in the fundamentalist FLDS group or anything, but I mean, I think Lori was willing, if you know what I'm saying. Like, here, yeah, I will sacrifice my children for, oh, I get to be a god? I get to be exalted? I mean, it totally. I'm not taking away any culpability from her or Chad. They both could have said no. They both could have they have free agency and they could say, damn no. They're adults, they're grandparents, for Christ's sake. Anyways, but it was all worth forfeiting, obviously. Okay, so first, okay, African churches within, okay, I kind of want to pass all this stuff up. Okay, the sects who practice ritual child sacrifice are overwhelmingly self-identified as Christian churches, while the Western media dismisses reports of ritual child sacrifice as conspiracy theories. The reality is that child sacrifice among fundamentalist groups does occur. Many of these groups self-identify as Christian, syncretizing witchcraft and animism, I think that's how you say it, with Christianity into a belief system that requires the blood of children for ritualistic purposes. Within the African churches who traffic children into the UK, the belief is, get this, the belief is that HIV positive men can be cured through sex with a virgin or the sacrifice of a child. Okay? Anyways, the LDS Church of Satan, profile and normalcy. We're not going to go too much for it. He only has a few pages written and then it goes into the victim statement. So just going to get his out of the way. Okay. The syncretization of Christian. Did I just say all that already? Yeah, I really have a hard time. This is just me. It sucks. I used to have to put a paper on top of my, so I could go and scale it down. Anyways, the syncretization of Christian doctrine and applications with occult practices is not limited to African fundamentalists within the United Kingdom. The Hamlin sisters describe their family's dual membership within the Church of Satan and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. David Lee Hamlin and Roselle Stevenson allegedly held memberships in both groups simultaneously, appearing as outwardly normal Latter-day Saints while secretly conducting occult rituals involving child sexual abuse and murder. Hamlin and his wife turned their abuse into several businesses. Okay. Just screams Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt to me. Okay. Their daughters allege that they produced and distributed child pornography, operated a child prostitution business out of their residences in Spring City and Provo, conducted a business whereby David Lee Hamlin used his expertise as a clinical psychologist to train children within the Church of Satan to comply with ritual abuse. Okay. Oh my God, I can just hear Jody with all the things we've learned, all the things Jesse shared, all the things that Adam shared, all the things. And screams that to me. Plus where Jody chose to live too. They usually kind of pick these specific neighborhoods and stuff. They are well established realities of fundamentalist sects who appear to operate within the mainstream while covertly engaging criminal child sexual and physical abuse, trafficking, and murder. These sects use the guarantees of religious freedom as a Trojan horse to evade culpability and detection, as governments are loath to surveil or monitor religious activity. These groups do not look the part of traffickers, child rapists, and murderers. They appear to be Christians, albeit of a deeply conservative and fundamentalist strain. Within the Church of Satan, the men and women were high functioning, well educated individuals from established families. Many of them served callings, in my opinion. Anyways, many of the named members of the Church of Satan held doctorate degrees, right? Okay. Both sets of grandparents for the Hamlin children had doctorates, with Robert Lee Hamlin, that's the one I was telling you about, and Richard Lloyd Anderson holding professorships at major universities such as BYU, the University of Arizona, and Washington University in St. Louis. Richard Lloyd Anderson's brother-in-law, Clyde Everett Sullivan, was a clinical psychologist educated at the University of California at Berkeley, with others in the group holding at least undergraduate degrees, like Shalom Levitt. And it's just in certain things. And they all seem to be transhumanists too. I didn't even know what that was until all this stuff happened. Anyways, alleged Church of Satan members were respected businessmen such Dave Sheets of Emergency Essentials, Dean Van Wagenen of the Intermountain Food Company, okay, and Van Wagenen Finance. And I was thinking, isn't that connected to Sterling Van Wagenen, which I remember listening to audio of one of his victims. Anyways, it's on a Mormon Stories podcast. They were attorneys like David Okerlund Levitt and Shalom Levitt. They were legendary executives like Gordon Bowen, the co-founder of advertising agency McGarry Bowen. Their family lines date back to the earliest days of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and intertwined with notable bloodlines. They're all about that. That produced apostles and even prophets. So there you go. They've served high up, okay? These were not outcasts or social incompetents. Instead, the named members of the LDS Church of Satan were respected, accomplished, and lauded members of their community. Their families produced mayors, governors, and they were part of the establishment within the state of Utah and the nation. They were hiding in plain sight. Okay. That's bold, right? And I mean, that's again my belief in like how I always perceived Satan. And anyways, it's just in plain sight. It's in your face. It's in our faces. Even just the symbolism and things like that, just like McDonald's, the arches, and it's interesting. Okay. The conventional wisdom around child sex abuse aided their efforts to maintain secrecy. Stranger danger, I remember hearing Lynn Packer talk about this, was the dominant theme around child protection in the 80s. But don't lose it. I lost it. In the 80s, but the statistics conclusively show that 93% of child sexual assault victims know their abuser. The reality directly contradicts the myth of a stranger danger. If a child victim is under 6 years of age, JJ was 6 years old, and Tylee was he was 7 and she was 16. And I heard on another podcast a while back that I'm like, well, okay, so the age of accountability, right? And I'm like, well, why does it matter for one, but not, you know what I mean? Like, why one, not the other? Then I'm like, I heard that these kind of people, these Satanists, okay, that's what they are, in my opinion. They're just gross. They're gross. But people like that, they prefer children that haven't been baptized. They prefer children that are autistic, if you will. Okay. I remember, I haven't studied into the, that weird case that we don't want to talk about, Epstein or whatever, where he was really seeking out these kind of children specifically. And I'm just like, what the hell? Right. it's weird. They're weird, and they get off on having relations and hurting and abusing children sexually, which is gross. Sick. Okay, it's a sick society. Okay, in the 80s, but the statistics conclusively, okay, 93% of child sexual assault victims know their abuser. The reality directly contradicts the myth of stranger danger. If a child victim is, oh, my bad, is under 6 years of age, their abuser is a family member 50% of the time. 84% of sexual abuse involving a victim under the age of 12 occurs within a residence, with that number decreasing to 71% for children aged 12 to 17. So that would be okay. The Hamlin victim statements correlate to the known statistical realities of child sexual abuse. The perpetrators were overwhelmingly blood relatives or individuals within the immediate social network of the family, such as friends of parents who were members of the LDS Church of Satan. Far from straining credulity, the allegations made by Rachel, Eliza, and Catherine Hamlin between 1999 and 2014 are corroborated by the statistical realities of child sex abuse. The stories told by the Hamlin sisters track with the data on child sex abuse. The only difference is that the frequency of the abuse is far greater due to the constant access family members and family friends had to the girls as part of the ritual abuse ring. And then it goes into, it's not much longer, an analysis of the Hamlin case history. In 2012, Catherine Hamlin walked into the Provo Police Department to file complaint against her father, David Lee Hamlin, for sexually abusing her. In 2003, the court, listen to this, the court in Hamlin's custody trial found by clear and convincing evidence that that he had sexually abused Catherine's older sisters, Rachel and Eliza. Despite this, the Utah County Attorney's Office declined to prosecute David Lee Hamlin. Why? Hamlin also admitted to administering peyote to his minor children as part of his combination of Native American religious practices with his theories on the LDS priesthood and quote unquote parts. Okay, I thought that was more of a sorry, let me mute. So sorry, y'all. It's like I'm breathing for the first time in my life, and it's hard. It's weird. A tickle. Anyway, so I was always under the way I just read that, it's like it's an LDS parts thing, and not so much because David Hamlin was a psychiatrist or whatever. So I'm gonna read that sentence again. Just Hamlin also admitted to administering peyote to his minor children as part of his combination of Native American religious practices with his theories on the LDS priesthood and parts, that Hamlin believed he could either create in his children, listen to this, or cast them out, or cast out of them. Okay, I was like, when I read this to Jason, I was like, what the hell? Like, why would you, what's that got to do with parts? And what? We're talking about peyote and Native American religious practices. And then, but he admitted to administering peyote to his children as part of his combination of Native American religious practices with LDS practices, right? And his theories on the LDS priesthood and parts theory, that Hamlin believed he could either create, which I thought that was like the dissociative identity disorder, where you cause trauma, which I mean, that's a recurring freaking theme in all these cases. You got people running up on Tammy Daybell, when she's unloading her car. And I don't know if that was meant to just scare her. They get off on this shit. Okay. It's disgusting. I don't understand it. But I believe what I read and what I research more than I believe these idiots. Okay. Way more. Anyway, so I just feel like it was all about instilling the fear, taking away everything that they loved, like Tylee and JJ, just stripping them just constantly, drastically disrupting every comfort, every norm, everything that kept, gave them a sense of security or balance or anything. And so no wonder I think about Tylee saying, "No, mom, not me," about being a zombie. I think about JJ or Lori or Melanie Gibb actually, and I think David maybe, alleging that that JJ was like, "I love Satan." Well, I mean, good God. I bet he was freaking confused. I mean, he was saying, "Get the hell out of here." I mean, it just makes me wonder so many things. Ugh, it's so freaking sad. It's so sad. It makes me wonder about how, and again, Colby bringing up, or whenever he was questioned by was it Keith Morrison about, or was it Dr. Phil? I forget, being questioned about his relationship with his mom. And he said it was more like a boyfriend girlfriend thing. And I'm just like, I mean, I never really understood what that, I was just like, I don't understand what that even means. But anyways, and it goes to Debbie, Alex's first ex-wife, talking about the inappropriate, Alex or Bubba Humps, Dan Cummings calls them, bouncing Lori up and down on, on him, and the bathing suits, and just the real sexualized, anyways, you know what I mean. It makes me think about that. All right, so okay. All right. So it says, despite the fact that administering a controlled substance to a child is not protected, it's not protected under any theory of religious liberty, and in spite of the reality that possession of peyote was illegal in Utah at the time, David Lee Hamlin evaded prosecution. Sorry. What followed Catherine Hamlin's 2012 report was even more bizarre. Hamblin's older sisters, Rachel and Eliza, independently filled out victim statements that corroborated their sisters' allegations. The Hamlin sisters outlined a horrifying abuse pattern, stretching over 3 decades, involving rape, child sodomy, object rape of a child prostitution, the production, possession, and distribution of child P word. I just said enough of them, right? Child trafficking for sexual purposes and murder. What the Their allegations were consistent with other ritual abuse allegations, in that the Hamlin girls detailed being forced to eat and drink feces and urine. This reminds me of Jeff Lundgren and Alice Skidmore. Lundgren. Okay. I mean, just what's up with all the damn feces? You got Gordon Bowen allegedly chained up to a damn radiator with poo-poo all over him. What the hell is really going on over here? It's just real shitty. Just kidding. All right. Sorry. And it says, and urine. Okay. While being subjected to home ordinances in which they were sealed to blood relatives and forced to submit to incestuous sexual assaults. The Hamlin girls were impregnated by their father, grandfather, and others within the group, and then forced to abort their children in ritualistic manner. The Provo Police Department managed to tape David Lee Hamlin apologizing to his daughter for raping her before his arrest. While Hamlin was indicted on multiple criminal counts, he evaded conviction, and in 2014, the Utah County Attorney's Office dismissed the charges without prejudice on the grounds that they were having difficulty getting discovery to Hamlin's defense team. Okay. Well, we'll go bring it. Okay. Okay. So in the aftermath of the 2014 dismissal of the charges against him, the Provo Police Department forwarded the case to the Department of Homeland Security. So then it goes government, right? And I think about Tim Ballard working there, and I'm just like, where Special Agent Adam, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to say Coney Man. Okay. And analyst Noel Ingalls of HSI began investigating the allegations. By 2020, Coney Man, or K, I'll just say K, and Ingalls were preparing to subpoena Curtin McConkey's abuse hotline to determine if victims in the Hamlin case had reported their abuse to the hotline. They were also preparing to interview other named victims within the Hamlin statements and police reports. When COVID resulted in shutdowns and ended their ability to travel to interview victims, the investigation was effectively paralyzed. By August of 2020, Coney Mann, or Kay, and Ingalls were reassigned to other cases. The Hamlin case was yet again in a state of limbo. Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith began his investigation, focusing in part on an illegal adoption K&E had uncovered involving Utah County Attorney David Okerlund Levitt, who was an alleged member of the LDS Church of Satan, according to Rachel Hamlin and her sisters, who accused Levitt of R-wording them and providing at least one polygamous boy for a ritual sacrifice in Spring City, Utah. When a journalist provided David Levitt with Catherine Hamlin's victim statements, he became aware of the allegations against him and held a now infamous press conference. Y'all remember. During this press conference, Levitt denied that there was an organized, and I was like, well, so it's not organized, is what you're saying? Right. That there was an organized ring of ritual abuse, despite the fact that he had claimed firsthand knowledge of the same ritual abuse group alleged by Catherine Hamlin during a recorded interview a year prior. So Levitt's press conference ignited a firestorm, and his subsequent call for Sheriff Smith to resign, and this sounds like Tim Ballard too, right? You're just doing a political hit piece, right? Persecution complex kicks in. To resign or to be fired only served to create even more negative publicity for his reelection campaign. The end result was that Levitt lost his reelection, while ensuring that the Utah County Attorney's Office would be conflicted out from prosecuting any crimes connected to Sheriff Smith's investigation. So gross, right? When David Lee Hamlin was arrested in late 2022 on charges involving 2 new victims, the Utah Attorney General's Office appointed Juab County Attorney Ryan Peters as a special prosecutor. David Lee Hamlin is currently awaiting trial on charges related to his abuse of 2 other children, one of whom is the daughter of alleged CS member David Sheets. Owner of Emergency Essentials, and the other of whom was a therapy patient of David Hamlin in Spring City. Would that be Brett Bluth? Okay. Before Hamlin was stripped of his license by Doppel for having sex with his patients, right? There's an allegation from Brett Bluth saying that, he was homosexual and he wanted to be cured, and he was recommended by a bishop to go to David Hamlin, and David Hamlin puts his arms, behind the couch, on the back of the couch. He's sitting on the couch and he's got his arms up, and basically like, here, you have some righteous seed right here. It's righteous semen. Okay. It's righteous semen. It'll cure you from being gay. Okay. There's some backwards thinking here. Big time. Okay. Analysis of the allegations. The Hamlin victim statements contain voluminous, allegations of child sexual and physical abuse. Allegations that defy any effort to quantify the totality of the abuse. Thousands of instances of child sexual abuse are described over hundreds of pages of victim statements. For the purpose of this report, the first 30 pages of Rachel Lee Hamlin's first victim statement 1, were sampled and analyzed. The first instance of abuse occurs on page 4 and 5 of Rachel's statement. Rachel describes how her mother, Roselle, would frequently delay bringing her daughters to school in the morning, truancy, in order to force her children to perform oral sex on her. Rachel Hamlin alleged that the frequency ranged between 5 to 10 times a month during the school year, with a heightened frequency during the summers. Can you imagine coronavirus, right? When she and her sisters were out of school. God, the sheer scale of the abuse is staggering. Assuming a frequency of 5 times a month over 12 months, Roselle Hamlin would have committed sodomy on a child, her own children, right? Or forcible sodomy 60 times a year during her daughter's school-aged years. That would place the total number of abused episodes at 720 separate instances over a 12-year period. At the upper end of the spectrum, Roselle Hamlin would have forced her daughter to perform oral a total of at least 1,200 times over the course of her school-age years. Over 2 pages, Rachel Hamlin alleged between 720 and 1,200 separate instances of SA in the mornings before school and during the summer months. That's just her mom. Over the next 25 pages, Rachel Hamlin described abuse ranging from 1 to 6 times or almost daily to several times a week during her childhood. The frequency of the abuse is outlined in the attached chart at the end of this report. Okay. The abuse described encompasses everything from R word of a child to S word of a child, battery, and murder. The allegations are so graphic as to reach gratuitous levels of detail, but they are necessary to communicate the full extent of the alleged crimes committed by members of the LDS Church of Satan. They are presented in the chart for the education of elected officials who may express reservations as to the lack of data around ritual abuse. That's what Ken was asked, or what's his name? Brian King was asking for. Oh, I just saw my state. Okay. They are presented. Okay. The circular logic is obvious. While ritual abuse is a crime in other states, such as Louisiana, where I live, Texas, and Montana, it is not a crime in Utah. And therefore, it would not be subject to documentation or reporting. Instead, when ritual abuse allegations are prosecuted, they are prosecuted under existing statutory law. That's wrong. And misclassified as rape of a child, sodomy of a child, object rape of a child, and other crimes that do not have a ritual component or classification. So I can say that about, right? In the indictments for Chad and Lori, it was due to their religious. I remember that little glimmer of hope. I was like, okay, good. It gives me a legal leg to just kind of, I guess, justify what I was doing, my research into. Is this, I mean, there were so many times I heard that this has nothing to do with the LDS Church. This has nothing to do with religion. It has all, I mean, there's still people out there that say that. I mean, even family members, I mean, it's just, we all have different views. And I guess to the extent of what we look into it and how much we know. But anyways, it's just interesting. But okay. As such, there is no reason for ritual abuse to be recorded, which is why there is such a dearth of data on the frequency or scale of ritual abuse. Okay, that is why amending the criminal code to include ritual abuse is a critical first step to understanding the full scale of the problem. With a criminal statute for ritual abuse, law enforcement will begin prosecuting crimes against children with a ritual abuse enhancement, which will lead to greater statistical reporting and documentation of ritual abuse. The data that does exist with the Hamlin sisters' victim statements is a stunning indication of just how extensive ritual abuse crimes against children are. Within just the first 30 pages of Rachel Hamlin's first victim statement, thousands of instances of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and at least one murder, are described in excruciatingly painful detail. And that's just reading it, right? Without ever reading the additional hundreds of pages written by the Hamlin sisters detailing their abuse over 8 separate victim statements, any legislator or law enforcement professional would have an immediate grasp of the scale of the alleged ritual abuse suffered by the Hamlin sisters, right? And then he says right here, he says, corroborating factors. At the end of August 2022, I informed the client who hired me that I believe the Hamlin allegations were plausible and even believable based on a month of research. The client was satisfied with that conclusion and did not wish to fund further research. I was not satisfied with the conclusion and desired to continue the investigation. And in October 2022, I started a Substack covering the Hamlin case with the goal of generating leads while also offsetting the costs through subscription revenues. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll have to pick up because I didn't know it was this many. Because, yeah, this is like what they do and how yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even see all that yet. But anyways, Michelle Ontario. Okay, let me grab this link and I'll put it in the chat. And please go and y'all read it. Anybody still here? Okay, yeah. All right. And just there's 400, wait, how many pages? I forget. 490 pages. Okay. This is crazy. Bowen's coworkers spoke of his belief that evil spirits were destroying his home and physically assaulting him from the 80s onward, with Bowen utilizing that claim to convince male coworkers to spend the night with him in his residence in order to protect him. But he's the Punisher? It's so weird, right? It's weird. Anyways, I just want to know what y'all think. I'm gonna have to go and like read all the comments afterwards. Or, after we end this. I'm sure everybody's tired. But I appreciate y'all. I've not been able to read good lately. So aggravating. So anyways, I'm like, I don't know if I just keep pushing through it and trying, or do I get out my damn app and my Speechify over here that I pay dearly for and use the hell out of it. It is hard. It makes me out of breath. But I was watching Nonsense earlier, channel Nonsense, and she gets out of breath too. So I'm like, I don't feel so bad. How are those girls? I don't know. I didn't ask Goel. He's never disclosed like knowing them personally or anything, and he may not. I really have never heard him say anything about how they're doing. I would love to know that if they ever happen on here. You guys are brave. Keep on going. We are right here behind you. I don't quite understand everything, and that's okay. That's your experience, and it's a horrible one. And I'm just so proud of them for taking a stand, never giving up, never. I mean, just they've been going at this for over 30 years now, and I mean, you get to okay. You get to a point, I'm sure, where you're just like, hey, you know what? Now I'm just gonna do it because I'm pissed off. Yes, I do. I do. I do. I do need a partner. It is hard to do all that reading. Yeah. And I mean, all I do is, I used to hate reading. I hated books. I was just like, I'd read Cosmo or something. I just like good for little short articles. I have ADHD, so I'm just, like when I lose my spot. And when Ashlyn was in school, she was in a class or whatever. And I mean, like they would take the notebook and like you just kind of go down the page or a piece of paper when you're taking a test, because I mean, just that's Ashlyn, but just myself. I kind of scan everywhere. I kind of actually read backwards. I flip to the end of the book and I don't know. I just kind of fumble through it. It's crazy. Yeah, very, very brave, supportive words. I think that's sweet, Trace. If anybody knows anything about this work, I don't want to say field, but this side of crime is you. And if you ever, I really think you have a lot to add to the conversation. Really do. I know you probably don't think that, but you do. So I believe in you. And so I think if you ever want to come on and tell us about Jared. Tell us about these kids, these victims, they slide through the cracks. Their stories don't get told. They get narrated. They get the media. There's everybody else's narratives, and it's never justice, in my opinion, ever. You have so many people stepping on the investigations. You have so many people trampling. Look at what Melanie Gibb, David Warwick. I mean, they totally, it was just, it sucks. They were failed, and they still are. That's the shitty part, is that they still are failed because people still won't say to what degree they were participating. They're not accountable. And so this is a problem. Oh yeah, I experienced this crime. Yeah, sure have. I mean, I guess, yeah, but not, oh my gosh, not to that degree. Again, any of it is horrible, and nobody should ever be violated. It's just it's human rights. And if you notice that all of these people, in my opinion, like Tim, Sean, oh my God, all the people, they are no respecter of persons. They don't care. They just don't give a shit. I'm to the point now where I think I was trying to think of the other night when I was thinking about how bishops, and they are told that they have to, when somebody in their congregation or whatever in their ward comes up and shares that they've been abused, then either the bishop, it just depends on the bishop, how educated they are outside, you know what I mean? How educated they are as far as like what to do. Do you report? Do you self-report? Do you call Curtin McConkie and then that'll never be seen? The church steps in, NDAs come out, and it gets brushed under the rug, never to be heard, never to hit the public airwaves, never for us to see really what's going on. Just these agreed, I mean, they're so bad when they do fly up on the scene. And so we're at a point now in society where here we have, I don't know their names right offhand. It'll come to me. But the boy who was the school shooter, his mom was just convicted, Jennifer or something. Oh, and I mean, she wasn't there, but that's her son. He was a minor. So you have parents who are having to be accountable for their, I don't know the case very well, so just excuse me for my ignorance, but having to be accountable for the parenting that they're doing. So I think a bishop should have to freaking report. Okay. I just don't think there should be any ifs, ands, or buts about that. Period. Okay. I don't give a shit about religion. Not when it comes to that. Piss on that. Just do the right thing. That's what you do. And you move along. Okay. That's it. It's not that hard. But people, Crumbly, thank you. People make it hard. The world is not difficult, but we make it difficult. We complicate it. And we have to do the matrix around all these damn obstacles, right? The obstacles. But let me know what y'all think about, like, I know, again, it was choppy, but just about what I read you so far about how the Church of Satan operates. Does that sound like Chad, Lori, and them? Okay, I think it is. I really do. And I know that Sue Ellen, I don't even want to share. I'm going to wait and share it because it is a freaking bombshell. I mean, we got to, yeah. I haven't even checked my phone today, but holy crap. And it's on Chad Daybell's side. And I mean, she's just, I don't know. Anyways, it's just some major tie-ins having to do with, I'll share this, with Valley of the Sun mortuary and stuff and people. And interesting. Just saying. But we'll go from there. Yes. Jihad has definitely read whose books? Oh, her books, right? I think so. The worst thing an abused child can do is confess to a pedo bishop. The kid will oh yeah. I mean, just the way they have to go in and detail that bothers me. I was just like, why? Confession is one thing. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Okay, whatever. Well, priest is on the other damn side. You don't even see him. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I used to do that. I was Catholic. But then I got to a point where I was like, why do I got to tell a man about I can just talk to God, whatever. And I never adhered to it, but still, I'm just saying, this is not, do you have impure thoughts, while we, shame you to death about a cupcake and how you want to keep the cupcake pretty and the gum, you don't want to chew the gum and make it all nasty. But then yet these are the same people who push polygamy. Jason mentioned the other day, whenever they said that Kevin Frankie, had filed for divorce, and he was like, well, that could be for just, Sue and Jody reasons. I was like, true. Y'all know how he does. He thinks about all the little he's a loophole exploiter himself, I would say. He's just got a good mind with how to think strategy, I guess. And he said, so Kevin Frankie, he's gonna get married again and sealed, so he'll have, a polygamama. I guess you could say a polygamama. Yeah, I think so. Totally. Totally. With the portaling, I do believe, in my opinion, I really think it is this remote viewing. And he was allegedly, and I remember hearing that in the beginning of this, when all this shit happened, that he would meet with this older man or something. And I remember like, what? My stomach's growling. In Salt Lake City, who would teach him how to portal. And I was like, what the F is a portal? What are you talking about? But then things got real elusive. Then right after right after Chad and Lori were indicted, it's like everybody dried up all the available information that was online. I was like, where the hell did everything go? Everybody got stingy or they purged the damn internet. I don't know. But yeah. When do you think the FBI files will be covered? Which trial? They're already fiddle farting with those. I'm just like, come on, waiting for it. I mean, don't play with my heart, like, come on. Soon as that happened to Lori, I was like, well, we know it's gonna happen. Or could happen. And it's like it kind of gives the state, if that does happen. I'm just saying, just my mind, my conspiracy theory. And it's if that does happen, let's say, oops, we forgot that deadline. We are on the time Mormons all the time, except for this time. Oh, damn. Sanction, right? And so they're like, you are not going to be put to death, And so that's weird. That's that weird thinking again. I'm just like, how does that punish them? Anyways, and so I was like, but if the FBI does it, they don't have to take the brunt of the people, so to speak, community members of the community, people in their church, in their ward, in their, everyday society, in their circles, people they work with. They don't have to catch the heat for that. So it kind of is like, they pass that accountability on to the FBI, who isn't going to interact with everybody all damn day. They don't care. They're just there, in and out. I don't know. Will Ian's FBI files be used in Lori, Arizona? I don't know if they weren't used in this trial, were they? In Lori's. It was just kind of like this like everybody just kind of already there was no explanation. I don't remember any. Damn it. Let me know if there's an explanation besides Zalema and her and then the denial queens, right? They're all like, oh, no. I was just praying to God. I was praying to the Lord. But what they were doing over there, that was just aggressive. And so I just knew that was Satan. Right. But they never come right out and say that. And then they're like, yeah, she said she was going to chop me up, but I still followed her around because I don't really think that happened. But that's me. I don't know. Anyways, I don't recall, right? Anytime in my life when there's a trial or questions that I don't like. God, can you imagine? My children are children, and they don't give me this kind of hell. And just again, you saw with like Melanie Pulowski earlier. Again, it's just a reminder. That part stood out to me. It's just like about Brandon being dark, and she's like, well, and but I do that too. I walk back. I start kind of here, and then I have to walk back. But anyways, but I'm not in a shady situation either, where my husband got shot at while we were going through a divorce, and I just so happened to allegedly, not drop the insurance payment right about that time, because if she wouldn't have paid the insurance payment, then she wouldn't have got paid if something would have happened to Brandon. but he got paid. Anyways, FBI files are lost, correct? Not being used against anyone because they damaged the church. Oh, God, yeah. Yes, this is about the church. This is for the church. So help me, church, right? It's all about image, and it's all about bending. And in my, this is just me. I know that other people are just like, what? But it's a system, man. And it's just, they didn't get there. They didn't get to where they're at in almost $1 trillion corporation who, in my opinion, doesn't care about a damn soul, a lamb, a nothing. They care about them dollars, though, because they protect it using NDAs. They protect it by hiding it from their members. They protect it by creating these shell corporations and hiding it for the second coming of Jesus Christ. But then yet here you got all these dipshits being like, oh, we're going to usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. And you're like, monkey see, monkey do. Daddy church. Okay. So it's just like, how are you going to sit there and say you're saving it for a rainy day or the second coming of Jesus Christ, which the second coming of Jesus Christ, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I just picture like Armageddon and, or like the rapture, you've heard of that, but never have I ever heard of like living in a tent city. I don't think that would be very safe. I don't know, for what it's worth. That's just my common sense. And it doesn't make sense. But again, I think that they're manipulating for sure the scriptures, and they use them to talk to one another in their own little Mormon speak, their own Mormon language. Oh, and that veils them. It also distances a Mormon from people like me, people like you, outside. We're outsiders, right? Even when they become ex-Mormon, they still click up. And I don't mean that in an ugly way. I just mean that like they that's just not the way they were raised, indoctrinated, trained, brainwashed. Conditioned, I think our first cult leaders are our parents. Seriously. My mom, okay, right? She'd be like, "Da, da, da, da," and I'd be like, "Yes, ma'am," or "Yes, sir." And that's just that. And then you realize they're like, "Hey, wait, I'm getting taller and I have like, I'm a woman now." I'm just saying. And then even past that, you're still like, "But that's my mom. That's my dad. I respect them. They're my elders, right?" Um, anyways, so that's what I've taken away from this experience. When I thought, I'm like, Charles Manson, this is a cult. I heard Uncle Charles telling Mom about a cult. This is before he was murdered. And I was like, what? Like a cult? Like a cult? Like Charles Manson? He didn't kill nobody. And really, as far as we know, he didn't. And so that was my thinking, was just like, okay, well, nobody can make you do anything. And then here we are in this bizarre religious delusional rabbit hole that never ever ends. It's relentless. No scriptures but rules. And I think that these people, especially the higher ups, in my opinion, I'm talking across the damn world, use these systems, these means or whatever to get us to conform, to make them rich, basically. It's not for the benefit of us, for sure. Not all the way, but I don't know. I just kind of see how I just kind of look at things and it's like a big view, which is weird because I always thought it was tunnel vision, but I don't think so. And like, while I've been studying, like researching and digging deep into this case, into all the religious beliefs that I was foreign to, period, end of story. And but I wanted to see it through Chad and Lori's eyes as best as I could. I didn't want to I'm glad I didn't have my own real, I didn't know. I was just like, okay. I think it was kind of like a protection in a way, because I don't know. I didn't go in with a like with an agenda. It was just like I just wanted to see where they strayed. I kept hearing it. I kept reading it. Their beliefs aren't ours. That we don't believe, and I'm like, right? I mean, my common sense is telling me that. But okay, so you believe all this. Everything's on point. What went wrong? I just want to know what went wrong, where it went wrong, how it went wrong, why it went wrong, and how often does it go wrong? And again, it's nothing's 100%, nothing's certain or fact. I mean, it's belief. It's not. It can change. Mine does. And I mean, some people, it's like it's got to be tricky for a Latter-day Saint or somebody that's the way they're structured and everything. I mean, how they really could, and they do really. They are a self-sufficient, running, little, clean, uh, again, self-efficient community who they could go without anybody from the outside world, and they would network with one another. They compete with one another. I mean, sometimes I'm just like, good Lord. Lori was is very competitive. Chad seems to be, but he seems kind of in a bitchy way, like in a girl way. I could see him in a cat fight, right? Um, there's this competitiveness about them. Even ex-Mormons too, it's interesting to watch. But anyways, it's interesting. Your phone fingers, right? Oh, I need my body personal too. I think Chad gave Tammy the same drug Alex took. I remember a long time ago, and I don't remember where I heard this from. Zalema. It was in some kind of text communication with somebody. I don't remember to what, but it's starting to fade away, right? That sucks. But she talked about something brown that, again, when I said this, who did I say this to the other day? And it didn't sound right. I think it was Donna. And I was like, I remember that Dilemma said something about Sean Little Bear leaving something brown on her couch. And Donna busted out. I did too. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't mean like feces or whatever. I meant like, I didn't know if it was like a drug or I don't know what peyote. I don't know what all this stuff looks like. Those aren't the drugs I've liked. Anyways. Cool. But anyways. All right. Well, oh God, it's always like so many hours. But again, and y'all, this isn't even where I was wanting to go tonight. This is again, it just kind of sometimes, I mean, especially when I see something, it just kind of clicks, and I'm like, okay, well that sits, that fits. Then I just go where my research, wherever I go, I go wherever it leads me to, but it goes back to this book from Daryl Mendenhall, which is interesting because it's like the casting out, it's the spiritual weapons, things like that. Maybe we can go over that more or at all, because I mean, I think that's interesting. It's very well going to be in the trial for sure. Zalema, if she testifies the same way, that she did before. I mean, it was in every communication, bombs and demons and just all the things. Even Doug, or was it? Why I keep wanting to say Doug, but his name is Daryl Mendenhall. His daughter had a near-death experience. She had a diabetic coma or stroke. Yeah, whatever. I think both. And anyways, so I read like different comments and stuff on different forums, and some are for them, some are not. Same old polarization. Okay. I feel terrible for Tammy too. What woke you up? Oh. But anyways, well, I appreciate you guys for hanging in and just dealing with I'm tired too. So I'm going to eat me some red beans and rice. Oh, Jason Cook with some cornbread. So I'll see y'all on the flip side. Love always wins. Just can the FBI files be obtained through I don't think so. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them came through. I'm gonna go search the site tonight. I'm gonna go search in there later and just see what I can find. Because I remember whenever all the FOIA stuff came out, I was like, "What is FOIA?" And I'm just like, I went to the DOJ website and I just read how FOIA docs work and what happens and where they come from and all the things. Right? I'm like a person that reads like owner's manuals and shit, random. When me and mom went to Rexburg, it was a Cadillac and like it was computerized. So like everything was touchscreen. And I mean, we didn't know what the hell, the way you touch the little gear thing and put it in gear. I was like, I can't pick you up, sister, because I don't want to put it in gear. But anyways, and so that's where the owner's manual was. And I was like, well, I can't help you because I don't even know how to work that. So we were SOL. Anyways. Oh, and we found some mom and them. Well, I asked mom, I'm like, what are y'all doing for y'all's flight? When are y'all leaving? And then Jason had looked at the flights before that, and it was like 188 round trip, not planned. I was like, oh damn. So I text mom and I'm like, when are y'all going? Just kind of get the details. And then she's like, I don't know. And then she was like, I guess I better do that. So then she texted me back and she's like, here's my tickets. And I was like, well, damn, that's the ones I just looked at. They were $188. And so that was a good deal. And she had asked me if, anyways, I'm like, well, she asked me if I wanted to fly at the same time they did. And I was like thinking, well, yeah, I do, but I don't have the money right now. So, I mean, sure. But I never did get back to her on that. So, don't want to be like, hey, no, can't. No, don't have it right now. But anyways, for what it's worth, I would like to go when they go. That way I don't have to fly by my damn self. I'm like you, beach bum. I don't want to fly by myself. Not there yet. Short Creek. I actually saw a documentary the other day. It was an older Mormon, like exposing the Mormons or whatever documentary. It had like these people who claim to have done these touch parties and S parties and stuff and drugs even allegedly with president prophets of the church. And I was just like, I need to find that again. So I got to figure out which one it was. Cause yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I don't think we're crazy. I think that I would like to see the good in humanity. I do see the good in humanity when I see it and I recognize it and I identify it and I high five it and I encourage it. But nobody can convince me that this church is not aware that this is happening and just all these things are just happening. No. I'm far beyond that point. This is intentional in my opinion. And it's just and that's across the board. So it seems like it works. And why fix what's not broken? Depending who it's broken for. So all right. So I love you guys. Hey Rhonda. I'll see y'all next time. Love always wins. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. See y'all later.